today is the top 8 for the Chroma Bloom and Blight pre-release tournament that we got going on here. We've got a fun bracket ahead of us. We have Hobnob versus Gjando, Pinix Ginger versus Zava Shaktiman, Monstekai versus Baklasan, Hippie versus Nadaris. We're going to start out by watching Hobnob versus Gjando, and then we're going to jump into the second winner's side match, and probably gonna go into the winners finals afterwards, and then just kind of like move from there. We're not going to be watching every single game today. If at a later point you're interested in watching all of these games, you can probably join me on stream at some point where I will be reviewing the replays. Hey Paradise, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime. But I will be reviewing the replays at some point in the future. Today we have a bit of a schedule though, so, you know, we don't know how long exactly it's gonna take, and I don't want the players to have to be here forever. So we're not gonna do every single match on stream, but we're gonna try to cover as much as possible. I have Woody or Lewis. Which one are we going with?
I mean, whatever you choose, but Woody's normally what most people call me.
Okay, we've got Woody here with us, who's working with us on Chroma. He's helping with the general promotion of the game, but also has some experience with card games. I think most notably with Gwent, right?
Yeah, Gwent's where I started my kind of streaming stuff. I mean, yeah, Gwent and Mythgard's the main games I play now.
Yeah, and yeah, he's gonna be just kind of like helping me commentate today. Sadly, you're just gonna have to watch the stream to get the game, unless you actually have these players on your friends list as well. I mean, you can ask them.
That's cool. I'm watching the stream now, and the delay is like less than 2 seconds, so it's absolutely fine.
Yeah, it should be fine, but anyway, we'll see. Now, if I'm right about this, so here's kind of like a fun little fact, I guess. But Benedict is actually a friend of Killian, which you guys probably don't know Killian, but Killian is a friend of mine who does actually all of the audio for Chroma. Like he does all of the music and sound effects and all of that stuff. And Killian didn't have or doesn't have a PC. He only's got a Mac. So he needed somebody to like play the game for him, so he can actually like get all of the like footage he needs to be able to make the audio work properly. And I think that friend is Benedict. So this guy was just kind of roped in to make the sound effects for Killian, or like to help make the sound effects for Killian, and now is sitting here in the semifinals. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. All that playing the game has actually benefited in competitive Chroma.
Now, in terms of, we should probably mention the prize pool as well. So, so far, nobody has made it into the cash money, but all of the 8 players today have made it into the in-game currency money. So there's 750 euros just in cash, and then 1,000 euros worth of in-game currency. All of the top 8 get in-game currency, and only the top 4 get cash money. So if whoever wins this match will be earning some money, I suppose. Yeah, no, immediately, let's have a quick look at the heroes here. We've got a Siege Baron versus Magnarchitect. Magnarchitect, all about, of course, as we saw yesterday, all about kind of creating these little toy golems to flood the board, which is a really powerful effect. Also, it tends to be more about kind of wanting to maintain an aggressive pace, especially if it comes to just having stuff on the board. You know, wanna be able to like overwhelm your opponent as much as possible. Siege Baron, on the other hand, a very versatile hero, a hero that can be defensive, but it can also be aggressive. Not usually at the same time. Usually with Siege Baron, you kind of have to make a choice. Am I going to play more of a defensive style, more of an offensive one? Oh, very nice right there. That's a strong effect. Using the where we make soldiers rally to get the Inexoron to be much more powerful. But you can see Benedict already flooding the board with a lot of stuff, which is a very powerful strategy with Siege Baron because of the secondary ability, which deals 1 damage to any target for every 5 cards in your ashes. So a common strategy with Siege Baron is to just kind of, you know, put a lot of stuff on the board, have it all die, and then start utilizing the secondary ability in the later stages of the game.
I feel like that's a great tactic as well with Siege Baron, because there are so many cards that do that, like Will of the Woods. It's great board presence, and it protects when you, or it lets you go wide, should we say. So you're putting board presence and board pressure on. But like you said, with Siege Baron, if they get removed, it's annoying having cards removed, but you have that passive, that secondary, which can come in and late game. I've had companions with 5-6 health easily removed with that secondary ability, which is very, very strong. It allows it to be a bit more controlly in the late game.
Yeah, it can also be used aggressively, right? I think that's, again, the flexibility of Siege Baron a bit, because you can just hit the enemy hero. Now, we should maybe really quickly cover some of the basics of the game. I want to make sure that we have that covered at the beginning, so then we just immediately get started with all of the complex stuff. So Chroma is a traditional card game. So that means you build a deck of cards, and you pay mana to play those cards, and you draw cards out of your deck of cards, and there's different kind of card types. So what we see right now mostly is companions. You can see these guys coming down. These are all companions that have effects that are on the board, and that kind of like let you fight, and they will fight your opponent like that, as you can see. Now, it has some unique elements. So we have these heroes, you can see. In the top right corner, that is Siege Baron. In the bottom left corner, that is Architect. Each hero starts with 40 life. If you drop to 0 life, you lose the game. And oh my god, I feel a bit bad for Hobnob. This is just such a bad draw.
It is, yeah, but I mean, I can't see the ashes, but something like Wandering Workshop, which I'm pretty sure they run on the list, if that was to come out and if they had a few taunt bots in there, then obviously it's intimidating having the Benedict's companions having like big damage output, but most of them are on 1 health or 2 health. So having that kind of toy golem with taunt on there can actually protect the board or protect the story quite easily if they can find them in their ashes with Wandering Workshop.
Yeah, there's just a lot of damage coming out already. Now, talking about a lot of damage coming out, so Chroma has some unique mechanics. The most notable one, I think, is probably the Act system. So you can see we're currently in Act 2. In Act 2, both heroes get access to 2 additional mana. In Act 1, which is what the game starts in, everything is just kind of unchanged, right? It's just kind of the default mode. You don't have to worry about anything there. And in Act 3, both heroes gain access to the ultimate. Ultimates tend to be very, very powerful kind of one-time effect abilities, where it's like a button you use one time and then it can hopefully help you win the game much more rapidly. However, ultimates can also only be used a single time. Heroes have 3 total abilities: a primary, a secondary, and the ultimate. Primary is usually an ability that you can use frequently, and that is really meant to be something that you use frequently, while the secondary is oftentimes a passive or something that's a bit more niche. And then finally, the ultimate, again, is just powerful. It's just power. So you can see here that now the Architect would be able to create this big bot here with the ultimate. However, this is an effect that usually requires a little bit of setup, and I just don't think that setup exists here. This is looking like curtains already.
Yeah, it's like you said, Siege Baron is a very versatile hero in terms of it can be aggressive and it can be defensive. I think with Siege Baron, it very much depends on the opening draw, right? And it kind of depends on your opening kind of like draw top decks to see how you play out the game. And obviously Benedict's drew absolutely wonderfully, especially with that Wheel of Woods coming down. And it's put a lot of pressure on Hobnob. And they just can't respond to it. They didn't have the answers to control the board. And like I said, I think this is going to be potentially curtains for game 1 to Benedict.
Yeah, it's looking like we're gonna see a big bot come out here. So what the ultimate for Architect does is it lets you choose 3 golems from your ashes, and then they enter the story as a big bot. This big bot always has 6/6 worth of stats, but it has all of the abilities of all of the golems that you use to create it, which means that this guy has double bold, triple bold, bold, rally. I restore myself to full health. Bold. So this guy is very, very fast, I suppose. But this is lethal on the board, so there's really nothing Hobnob can do here.
Yeah, and with the enchantment where we make the placement where we make soldiers down on the board as well, it's very easy to get Big Bot out as an 8/8 off the bat because you can play the ultimate ability, pop the primary to create a toy golem, and instantly you're getting the big bot to 8/8. So it's a really nice combo.
So this was just, honestly speaking, I think Hobnob got a bit unlucky there, right? Like the opening hand was really slow. I think there were 2 Monomaniacs in there, which Monomaniac is really a card that's more meant to be It's more against the slower decks when it shines, right? And I wouldn't be too surprised if we see that boarded out here. We definitely, in the sideboard, Starving Steel and By the Skin of My Teeth are absolutely fantastic against these kind of early game strategies. So I wouldn't be surprised to see both of those come in. And then probably remove some of the slower elements from this Magnarchitect deck. Take out something like the Knife Made Vice maybe, or... Well, actually, that would be pretty good for trading. But yeah, Monomaniacs might be worth considering letting go. And yeah, here we go. So this is already a way nicer opening hand. With a Skullforce Hatchling for turn 1, always great. Forgotten to follow up with, which just kind of allows you to clear out the board a little bit. This Wandering Workshop it's a 2-mana companion. But if we look at the mana curve for Hobnob here, you can see that the first blue mana actually comes in on turn 6. So this is not going to be a turn 2 play, and it is not an option as a turn 2 play.
It's a very good mid to late game card though, because it obviously gives you access to all your golems in the ashes, and obviously every time you pop a toy golem, it's in your ashes, and you can effectively just spam golems over and over and over and over again. And if you get something like We Were Soldiers down on the board with the rally, it can really put a lot of board tempo out, like literally on a sixpence, and create a real tricky situation for your opponent to handle.
So this is where for Forgotten is just so good. And this right here, Radiance, is a companion that has huge stats for 1-mana companion, but it kind of comes with a downside. It can only stay on the board for 3 turns. And Forgotten just cleans that out. Void target companion with 4 less health. Oh, it's just an absolutely beautiful way of clearing out some of this early game stuff. But not actually gonna play it. Gonna go with a little toy board right there, and gonna go face. Okay, that is surprising. I guess maybe setting up for prey here, or we're just kind of saying, you know what, this thing is gonna die on its own anyway. I'm not gonna go out and use any resources right now.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I quite like that play actually, because obviously the passive as well with Magnarchitect is once that toy golem dies, they will take Siege Baron will take 1 ping damage as well. It's building the ashes up with Wandering Workshop in hand, so you're building into that kind of more mid game as well, and it forces your opponent to make decisions. And now, like you said, with Prey's not going to be a difference if the enchantment has 4 health or 1 health. Prey's still going to do the same stat on it. So I quite like that actually. It's a bit of a slower play, and I like building the ashes up with the golems. And yeah, it's I found that quite an interesting one.
Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of the problem though, right? Now this guy is still stuck around with 3 HP and can now come in and like probably trade with the Skullforce Hatchling here.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of value. Getting that much value out of a Radiance is you don't want to see that. Now anyway.
Especially when it's going to die next turn as well.
Yeah. Now I brought up the act system, right? But like, how do you go from Act 1 into Act 2 into Act 3? How is that determined? That is based on one of 2 factors. There's 2 possible ways to get into the next act. You only have to meet one of those conditions. The first one is this act counter to the left here. So you can see we're currently at 19. And after one of these players is going to play a card, which I'm sure we're going to see in a second. But after one of them plays a card, this counter is going to count down. It's going to move to 18. Right now, I guess we're just going to go ahead and use the primary there. Oh, interesting. Stolen from the Dark. Okay. That is such a... Wait. You don't even have the mana for it. You can't even play that. Is that just going to be for an interesting combo with some avatars? All right, I'm interested to see how that works out. Anyway, but this act counter, it just goes down as cards are played. It also goes down by 1 at the end of each player's turn. So no matter what you do, this will slowly move towards 0. And as it hits 0, then the act transition will happen at the end of the current player's turn. The other way to get into Act 2 is these barriers, is what they're called. So every hero has a barrier at 30 health and one at 15. And if a barrier is broken, then a barrier does 2 things, right? First of all, it makes it so that it absorbs some damage. You cannot overkill a barrier. If a hero has 31 life and the first barrier is intact, and then they take 7,000 damage, then afterwards they will have 30 life because the barrier absorbs all of the overkill damage. So it's always kind of important to make sure that you're managing how much damage you're dealing to not waste too much damage on these barriers. Barriers cannot be restored. After they're broken, they're gone for the rest of the game. Also, when the first barrier for either hero is broken, the game will then at the end of the turn move into Act 2. And if the second barrier for either hero is broken, it will then move into Act 3. So that's another way you can kind of like the tempo of the game kind of changes a little bit. And it's always something that's important to keep in mind when playing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And a lot of people ask then, when I first talk about when I first mentioned the life barrier system, people say, oh, so OTK decks can't exist, or they can if you obviously if you take the barriers into consideration. If you swing your attack around them, and it's just another kind of presence on the board that you need to work out when you're doing the math on a turn. Make sure you're not swinging your big companion straight away to then lose maybe 6 of its damage due to a barrier. Make sure you're pinging the same right way around. Can I say one big tip actually that I found out through I think it was Wispy actually in one of my streams who mentioned it. If you pass turn with 2 left on the counter, then it comes back to you as long as the life barriers aren't going to be pinged anyway when on Act 3. So if you're in Act 2, so that's just like a tip that I found for newer players, which made such a difference when I found that out. You can really exploit the counter to your ability if you're going into Act 3, whereas as Balmy said, the ults become available and they can be genuinely game changing.
Yeah, it's something that's definitely worth keeping in mind, right? Strategizing around the act counter, and sometimes even just the barriers, right? It might be a good idea to say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to break this barrier right now because I don't want my opponent to have this additional mana, or I don't want my opponent to get their ultimate. Or just saying, you know what? I can wait this turn. I will not play a card right now because that will push the act counter to the point where it will then transition at the end of my turn. And instead, I will just pass my turn, my opponent plays a card instead, or even if they just end their turn naturally, and then we will go on to the next act. Like, that's kind of a good way of just getting that sort of value.
Yeah. I mean, Siege Baron's a perfect example for that, because their ult is literally destroy all permanents on the board, right? So leaving them at 16 or not letting them get into 13, go into Act 3 into their turn, could mean that you can keep a board presence. So I've made the mistake where I've passed turn and it's gone into Act 3 for them, and they've come back to win because they've just removed my board. And especially if you don't have a hand to deal with that, then that can be a big turning point of any matchup.
This is such a cool strategy from Benedict here. So what Benedict has got is the Scholar's Attendant, which is an avatar beast. Now, avatars is something we haven't seen much of in this tournament so far, which personally I have to say I'm a little disappointed by that. I think the avatars are quite powerful and there's definitely some value being left on the table there. But there's one card in particular, Stolen from the Dark is what it's called. This card has quite a bit of text, apologies. But the way it works is void a non-avatar companion from either ashes. Restore health to yourself equal to the attack. That's a simple effect, we don't have to worry so much about it. The more important one is this one. After an allied avatar enters the story and Stolen from the Dark is in your ashes, return Stolen from the Dark to your hand and give the avatar +2/+2. So basically you have Stolen from the Dark in your ashes, you play an avatar, the avatar gets +2/+2 and you get Stolen from the Dark back into your hand so you can play it again. This is a very powerful combo. Now, one of the problems with Stolen from the Dark is that it's got a very high, or like a very prohibitive mana cost, using 3 different colors, right? Red, purple, and blue. Siege Baron, in fact, doesn't even have those colors. Siege Baron cannot play, or like doesn't have any blue mana available to him. He only has red and purple. But this is where the Siege Baron primary comes in. With the Siege Baron primary, every turn, you can just throw a card into the ashes, right? You can just discard something away. So you use the primary to get Stolen from the Dark into the ashes, and then you can just play avatars to get those buffs. This does 2 things. First of all, it makes your avatars way stronger, right? You can see this guy is a 6'8", but would normally be a 4'6". Honestly, 4'6" is already a pretty big body, but turning that into a 6'8" is pretty massive. But not only are you making your guys much stronger like this, but also you are getting discard material, right? So over the course of the game, the Siege Baron will be able to constantly discard all sorts of, will be able to discard the Stolen from the Dark over and over and over again, and continuously play new avatars that then get more powerful. from the Stolen from the Dark. It's a really interesting strategy, and I think it's something that's, the game is not very restrictive. The game is like, yes, a hero may not have any blue or green mana, but that doesn't mean you can't put those cards into your deck. And I think especially with Siege Baron, there's actually quite a few cards that you might want to play, even though you don't have the mana pool for it. So yeah.
It's so I saw the
oh my god,
the sideboard come down, which was a nice addition. Dealt with that. 7-10.
That is so brutal.
The warded as well makes it a real big issue to deal with. Obviously, there's nothing in hand anyway that can deal. Well, actually, no. The Hunger Craves could deal with it if it wasn't warded. But the
it's warded.
Takes that out of it. If anyone's wondering what warded is, it's you cannot be targeted by spells. So if anyone's played Magic, would be hexproof or any other keyword like that from other card games. And it makes that 9-10 taunt as well. That's the spiked animation around the side of it, meaning that if any companion is played in page 1, 2, or 3, as you're looking at the screen, it will have to swing into that companion. It can't swing over it.
Yeah, they need to attack it. Like, it blocks these 3 pages from attacking the hero or any other stuff. This guy is massive. This is a 9-10 companion right now. That is such a clever strategy. And I think this was specifically a response to playing against a more aggressive deck here. No, well, not super aggressive. This is kind of like more mid-rangey, I guess. But, just kind of saying, you know what? I'm going to get some big bodies on the board. This is a really, really neat strategy. Now, this guy is huge. 9 and 10 is so difficult to deal with. Especially since it's warded, right? If it wasn't warded, you might be able to, but damn.
Yeah, I mean, one of the only ways, really, the Hobnob, not yet, obviously, it's not in Act 3, is but like a big bot. Do you really want to trade your ult in just to remove a 9-10? I mean, it's very intimidating because you have to create these companions now to deal with it. As you said, the warded takes any spell usage out of the equation.
I mean, even if you wanted to create a big bot to deal with it, it wouldn't work. You can't target it.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's the thing. You can't really get that much value out of a big bot. A big bot is always a 6/6, no matter what you void there. Now, something that is noteworthy, we saw this earlier, right? But a big bot the Magnarchitect Ultimate allows you to create a big bot that has all sorts of effects, right? And can get a lot of value from synergizing with different golems that have died over the course of a game. The most notable one here, I think, is actually this one right here, the Talus Automaton. This one can be repeatedly replayed for free valor and discarding a card, but it still allows you to bring it back. If you merge that into a big bot, that big bot can also be repeatedly replayed, and that's a very powerful effect. We also just saw Frontline Overseer. This guy's Taunt, Dawn, and Rally. I give all allied companions +1/+1. Very nice. Stolen from the Dark, actually just straight up being played using the chromatic mana provided by A Song for Dancing, which is a card that allows you to like transform purple mana into chromatic mana, and chromatic mana is mana you can use for anything. You can use it for any color, anything you're looking to do, which means that you can play Stolen from the Dark. Oh my god.
Oh wow,
this is brutal.
Yeah, this is I mean, we're on a 2-turn timer pretty much now, which is pretty scary. Also, I just want to take a moment to apologize. Sorry, Hobnob is a female and I referred to them as a male pronoun, so apologies for that. Chat have corrected me on that one, so yeah, apologies there. But this is looking very scary for Hobnob right now. I don't know if there is a way out of it, really. It's the war, like you said, the warded is the hunger grows. It's just staring in Hobnob's face right now. And I
mean, you have to trade here, right? You have to kill this.
You have to get rid of it.
But like, even if you do trade, the thing is, like, yes, you kill it, but you just don't have the resources needed. You just don't have the follow-up. While Benedict does have plenty of follow-up, a handful of follow-up. With the Stolen from the Dark, the primary has essentially turned into draw a card. Even better than that, because you can use the Stolen from the Dark as a synergy card. This
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
so happy.
Hobnobs had to really, they've almost exhausted their hand trying to deal with the big warded taunt. It's pretty scary. It's pretty scary stuff. So Hollow Survivor is the name of the card,
Yeah.
which normally comes out as a 3/6 anyway. Which with warded and taunt with 6 health is already an intimidating card, but coming down as a 9/10 is very very scary.
Oh, there's Forgotten. And there's just nothing on the board anymore. Alright, this is just brutal. Second for okay, that's I have to say I find it a bit surprising. Maybe a little overkill. You could have just traded right there.
Yeah, well, as we know, Benedict is running Will of the Woods. So Will of the Woods now is there's lots of open pages. It really starts buffing up, and Hobnob has no cards in hand. It's their luck is in the fate of the top deck gods, shall we say, and hopefully they can pull something to deal with it. But it's not looking very pleasant for them.
Yeah. Whew. Even gonna just kind of take it into Act 3. 7 HP remaining. I mean, I don't even know what you can draw. I don't really think there is anything.
No.
I mean, Surgeon Automaton is a good card, but I just don't know if that's enough. There's no significant golems in the ashes. Whew. Well, I hate to be a downer, but I think that's gonna be it.
Yeah, I do as well. I mean, obviously, Big Bot is open up now. As you saw, we went into Act 3, which opens up that ultimate ability, which is the third ability that opened up on the ability bar down by Hobnob's name. So Big Bot it's a great card. It's an amazing ability, but I found the Big Bot to be great when you're on the offensive. When you're trying to find that lethal, you're trying to open up the opportunity to find lethal. It's not a great defensive. It's good at removing one spot companion. But yeah, it's in the situation we're currently in now. The taunt's good.
So this is a big bot that's just made up out of the like 3 toy golems, right? This is the toy golem big bot, with a bold, warden, and taunt. It's not. This is a pretty good companion. The problem is still, while you might survive this turn, you do die in 2 turns just to the secondary.
Yeah. It's more concerningly is the kind of the long game as this goes on. Again, Hobnob not a single card in hand, drawing 1 card per turn, and Benedict has 5 cards in hand, has the resources available. The Insurgent Automation is Automaton, sorry, is not a bad card, because obviously the ability on that 3 neutral mana, you can do 3 damage, and we know they have some bad. Oh, there you go. I'm just going to be quiet now because it's a 10-12 on the board.
Oh, this is actually lethal right here. Song for Dancing. You can use the Song for Dancing to move one of these Bramble Beasts into this page, which is not covered by Taunt. Oh.
Yeah.
I missed it. Missed lethal. All right. Yeah, you don't have to move something a Song for Dancing, but right there, using the Song for Dancing for the movement would actually have been lethal. Just by you moving one of these away into this page is not covered by this taunt. Actually, I guess you can just kill the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that works. All right, never mind.
Control the ball up a little bit and say Insurgent Automation, and hey, you can do your 3 damage ability. Oh, there you go, it's lethal anyway. But
yeah, I think we may have all overthought that a little bit.
Yeah,
just
that's card games. That's card games.
And that's it. That's game 1. I mean, not game 1, but like match 1, I suppose, right? Hobnob gonna be going into the losers bracket with Benedict moving into winners finals. Here we have, I would assume this is game 2. I mean, this just started, this match. And they were supposed to get started already. We've got Gugu versus Magnarchitect yet again. So Gugu, I saw this deck yesterday. This deck is really, really silly because it is just kind of absolutely nothing.
Oh, really?
Well, it's not that it's not nothing in the way that there's like no cards, but it's like this deck doesn't really so much try to win as it tries to like have the opponent die of old age.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very slow, very, very controlling deck. I mean, we did have one match yesterday where actually two Gugus were playing against each other, both of which were playing the sort of pacifist deck. And it was like, it took like 2 hours, and at the end of it, they both had 80 HP. I'm pretty sure, again, one of them just died of old age. And and here we are.
Because the Gugu's one of the only heroes you could probably really do that with, because the ultimate ability, which is giving your opponent effectively a branding, saying that for the rest of the game, after your opponent plays a card, we use an ability, deal 2 damage to them. So that in Act 3, if you're playing an opponent Gugu and they're able to keep gaining life, that kind of defeats your object. But most heroes can't deal with that, and it doesn't sound like much, just 2 damage, but over the course of 20 turns, it soon adds up. And the sustain that Gugu can get is a little bit scary, because there are a lot of enchantments that really do proc a lot of life gain. And yeah, so it's like you said, this is very much like a snooker player, right? A snooker player who isn't the best snooker player, but only plays snookers to win, and that's pretty much what Gugu's doing in this matchup.
I have no idea what that means, but sure. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, so this Gugu deck in general it's just removal. This deck is 100% full of removal and defensive cards, and it tries to just basically heal and have like a lot of HP and just last forever. And then eventually play a few like Blooming Blackly, which is a card that allows you to just get a little bit of a body on the board, or it plays Ivory Heart and Never Enough as its kind of big late game finishers. But again, even those, it's just kind of pretty lax about them, right? It's just kind of I don't know, just kind of says it's okay, I don't need to stress too much about it, I'm happy to take it a bit easy. We see Exquisite Proliferation here coming out, and that is going to be 3 more Blooming Blackly.
This card is incredibly strong.
Yeah.
Blooming Blackly is the 5 plating. I think is what makes it killer. Plating is an incredibly strong keyword in Chroma. For those who don't know, is unless a card's running Overwhelm, which is effectively Overrun or Trample, then it's any damage done to it, even if you're doing 10 damage to face, will only remove 1 piece of plating, 1 piece of armor. You want to look at it that way. Whereas, so having 5 means even if they had a full board of companions, none with Overwhelm, like 5 of their pages are only removing the plating, only 2 are actually doing damage to face. And that's how powerful plating is. So grabbing 5 off the Blooming Blackly, as well as gaining, as well as doing 5 damage to a target and gaining a 5/5 Icor is it's a pretty tasty card. It's a very, very strong card.
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful, and it's something that's hard to break through, right? 5 plating may not sound like that much, but that can be a lot of effective HP. However, if there is a hero that is very good at dealing with that kind of stuff, it is definitely Magnarchitect. Magnarchitect not only has access to a lot of small companions that just kind of are happy to deal like 1 point of damage and chip away at plating, but also she's got the secondary ability, which says the first time each turn a golem enters your ashes, deal 1 damage to your opponent, which is just another way to kind of like deal 1 point of damage to negate that plating. So it's not as big a deal to Magnarchitect, but it's still a little bit unfortunate. Another thing that's really important to keep in mind about Magnarchitect, now I don't know if this particular list plays it, but something that Magnarchitect decks like to play is a card called the Crag Warden. And what they do with it is they just kind of discard it into the ashes, and then they use the ultimate to merge the Crag Warden into the big bot they are creating. And the Crag Warden is relevant because of one thing. When the Crag Warden attacks, it gains, it discards the top 9 cards of your opponent's deck. So it just gets rid of so much of your deck. Like that's a quarter of your deck in just a quarter of your deck right there. Oh my god.
Quick question though. So when you create a big bot, if you use, and this is genuinely me not knowing the answer, Crag Warden also has the Dawn ability of when it enters the story, it destroys a target opposing permanent. Does Big Bot get that ability as well?
Wait, can you repeat that? I'm sorry. I zoned out.
Yeah, so you mentioned Magnat Effect. They also they used the Crag Warden.
Mhm.
Crag Warden has the Dawn ability of destroy
Yeah.
target opposing permanent. Do they get that ability as well with Big
Yeah.
I've never. Wow.
It also gets overwhelmed. It gets the complete text, everything. You can also take the Crag Warden and then combine that with the, what was it called? The Tireless Automaton. And then you have basically a Crag Warden that you can resummon every single turn with Bolt. Yes, it's about as broken as that sounds. But these ultimates are all very powerful, right? They are all incredibly strong. So that's just something to keep in mind there. We actually just saw a bit of a mistake right there. We saw Monomaniac come out. This is a card that says, discard your hand and then draw 4 cards. If you control a golem, your opponent does the same. Noah, bad cat. Stop it. Come on, go in the basket. Sorry, my cat is being a bit annoying. But it's a card that kind of like lets you refill your hand a bit. But if you're playing a Golem deck, you can actually also use it to disrupt your opponent's hand. And if you look at how many cards this Gugu has, it would have of course been very useful to discard those and just kind of like reduce the hand size a bit. Especially since you just saw them use Exquisite Proliferation, which adds copies of a card to your hand. All right, there we go. Here is this is kind of what you're looking to do. So this is not only really, really good because it gets rid of a lot of the resources that this Google has been gathering, but also because it actually gets them closer to milling. So the fact is that, like, we already saw that there is a Crag Warden in this deck. There's actually 2 of them. And Magnarchitect actually can't play Crag Warden, not naturally. She doesn't have the mana pool for it. Crag Warden costs 5 Valor, which Magnarchitect doesn't have access to. She only has 4 Valor. So it makes it a bit difficult for her to just straight up play the card. She needs to kind of work around it a little bit and kind of toss it into the ashes or try to cheat it out in some other way. Which those ways definitely exist. They're just, a bit tricky.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just saw people in chat mentioning like Golem Mill as a joke, and it is kind of, I suppose you could even use the word meme on it, but it's just an additional win con, right? We were mentioning earlier how Architect is a very versatile deck, and it's like a classic mid range. It can be aggressive, it can be controlling. It doesn't do any of them amazingly, but it does a lot of them pretty well. And having that kind of, like you said, that top 9 discard package in there as well, it's just another win con. If you're going to get a 6/6 out with that keyword on there, it's easy to get out as well. Why not have it in there? And so yeah, Golem Mill is as memey as it sounds. It's especially against something like a Gugu, it is definitely a viable win con.
I really don't think it's memey at all. I think Golem Mill is a very viable strategy. You have access to probably the 2 best mill cards. I mean, actually with Magnarchitect, you even have access to, I guess, the third card that would be required for it as well. So there's very easily like kind of like a switch of a strategy you can do there. I really do think that not playing the the Monomaniac earlier was just a mistake, which is very unfortunate. Like because this was actually the last Monomaniac. So the other 2 are already in the Ashes, and something that Magnarchitect doesn't tend to play is kind of Ashes recursion, right? Only for golems, not for anything else. There's actually kind of like a bit of an archetype in the game, kind of golem engineer, where you can build golem cards and engineer cards and kind of have them synergize with each other. But usually the golems are the ones that come back. The engineers just provide resources or make the golems easier to play.
Yeah, for example, I'm trying to remember our Foundry, the enchantment, which is like an engineer enchantment, which then reduced the cost of golems by 1 neutral mana as well. So yeah, it's there's lots of synergy between the engineers and golems, which I really like. I like that kind of machinery engineer synergy on both a lore basis and the kind of a gameplay basis as well. And it feels good. But yeah, it's Pioneer's bridge. Well, I was going to say building a nice board, but chipping away slowly. And I think Pine now, as you said, is almost ignoring Gugu's health. What's the point? It's 61, 11 plating. Like,
this is straight up a mill deck. This isn't even like a partial mill deck.
No, it's not. You're completely right. Yeah,
this is just a straight up mill deck. This was like so these are kind of the 4 cards. There's Crag Warden, there is Monomaniac, which we already both saw. And then finally, there's Empty Doorway, which is a card that says choose 1, discard the top 6 cards of target hero's deck, or choose a card from your sideboard and add it to your hand. So you can kind of like get a few options there. But the big thing here is, of course, just discarding 6 cards. It's a very slow card, right? It costs 5 mana, and in a lot of matchups, this is, I think, kind of like a mistake a lot of players make when they think about, you know, like milling in card games, is that they think, you know what, I'm gonna mill my opponent and I'm gonna win that way. But then they get the opponent down to 10 cards and then just lose anyway, because it turns out, unless your opponent actually runs out of card, milling them does nothing. It is completely pointless. But so in aggressive matchups, you really can't do this, because it's just not effective. But right here, where you have all the time in the world, because the opponent is playing like 1 blooming Blackly a turn and that's it, why wouldn't you? I think it's very clever.
No, it's definitely, and it's this match too. So it'll be interesting to see, or we can't see now. It'll be interesting to know what Pine sideboarded into their deck. Do they normally run this mill package, or is it there as a case of, okay, if I'm going to play a super slow controlling matchup, that's going to be my secondary win con, which is obviously where a lot of people kind of can sideboard, is to build into a certain archetype matchup rather than just being more versatile with a sideboard. But yeah, it's
this is the most plating I've ever seen on anyone.
It's a slow. I mean, there's a lot of health as well. There is a lot going on there. There's only one blooming. Is it blooming Blackly left in hand? So there's 5 damage coming from that as well. As you say, Gugu doesn't have tons of damage output. It does have a 0-3 on the board, which obviously is disarmed. Another 5-5 on the board. So the clock is ticking for Pine in terms of the threats that are coming up here. These 5-5s and it's
actually kind of interesting. Like the Gugu hasn't been really using the blooming Blackly as removal. Just kind of slamming face. Yeah. And the Architect is actually looking close to death here, with only 15 life remaining. Like that. How many cards
are left in the deck for Gugu? Looks like quite a few still.
12. I mean, that's gone in just 1 second, right? Again, Crag Warden takes down 9 cards in a single attack. Is there any bolt bot in the Ashes? Yes, there's a bolt bot. There's a block bot. So we can create like a bolted. Warded Crag Warden. Sadly, no Insurgent. Tireless Automaton. Insurgent Automaton is a different one, but no Tireless Automaton, which is a little bit unfortunate. But nonetheless, this is still gonna be, you know, a good way of clearing out one of these guys, because you do get the Dawn effect to destroy a companion here. Then also that is the wrong one. Oh no. Wait, why do you get 2? What am I? Oh, you took, oh my god.
They took both of them? So
you didn't give Bold. Why did you? Oh, there's the Son of Driven for Bold. You merged both of the bit of double Crag Warden. Okay.
And the plating protection. So the plating protection, the warded on it as well. Wow.
I didn't even consider that. I honestly, but yes, of course, why not? You can just use both Crag Wardens.
And that one plating to Pine now, it doesn't sound like much as one plating on the hero health, but that's huge. That is that is a big attack. That's
that blocks a lot.
Blackly off the top as well, it would block that. So knowing that they're only potentially 3 turns away from 3 cards away from lethal, it's it's a great bit of plating, a lot of protection.
But didn't discard 18? No, it does. It did discard 18. There were 12 cards in the deck, and it discarded all of them. Now, the reason why none of these attacks are doing any damage is because of 5 words. So 5 words is a card you may only play 5 words if you haven't attacked with a companion this turn until the start of your next turn. Prevent all damage. So it's kind of like a very defensive, kind of keeping things at bay card. So, what can Gugu even? This is it. No, Gugu needs to open arms this, right? Gugu needs to open arms this big bot.
Yeah. So if anyone wondering, because big bot has warded, open arms still works because it targets the story. It doesn't target a specific impact. So open arms does still work on warded. So they can take the big bot off the top, which then would obviously allow them to put them on top of their deck. They could then play it next turn, and then they would be able to effectively mill Pine out as well.
Okay, just gonna take it easy here, I guess. Using the ultimate wants to start taking some pressure.
I mean, Gugu's not really in a rush, right? They've got 22 plating and 74 health. They haven't got to panic or worry about anything.
So what's important to keep in mind, so we have fatigue in this game, right? Which means that after you run out of cards in your deck, the first time you should draw a card and there is no card in the deck, you take 1 damage. The second time you take 2 damage. Third time you take 3 damage. But it's actually like, while that is kind of how I like to explain it because it's just easy to understand, in actuality it's slightly different than that because you actually take 1 damage and then you take 1 damage but 2 times. And then you take 3 times 1 damage. And then you take 4 times 1 damage. In other words, fatigue eats through plating. That's the thing. Alright? Yeah. It just cuts through plating. And
it can rack up really quickly. Fatigue damage can really rack up quickly.
Yeah. So
that open arms in hand it's looking pretty nasty for Pine. Obviously, Pine can't see the hand, but it's open arms is a great counter to that big bot.
Well, but like the thing is that even if you do that, right? So what's the strategy here for the Google? You open arms. You have to open arms this big bot. Then you can't play Evoke. You have to open arms first. You can't Evoke afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, no, you do actually have enough mana to Evoke then, but you just don't have enough stuff, really. So I think that the winning play here for this Gugu is to open arms, wait a turn, and then Evoke a bunch of Blooming Blackleys back into the deck. So what does Evoke do? Choose a spell from your ashes and shuffle X copies of it into your deck. So it costs 6 mana to play already, but with the 12 mana you can still get 6 more Blooming Blackley.
Yeah, and obviously each one of those put a 5/5 companion on the board as well as the 5 damage.
Yeah,
as well as the 5 plating.
I would suspect that at this stage, the 5 damage is really what's going to make the difference, right? You're just going to keep slamming that. It's just going to be really, really slow here. That's the thing. And the Magnarchitect needs to be really careful because she only got 15 HP here.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know what's in there, right? Like what is in this deck? Sadly, this is kind of the problem. The big bot is gone. You're not going to be able to get that one back. That is in your opponent's deck. Unless you somehow magically play hijinks. Oh, you know what might work though? If Pine has another empty doorway. How many are there in the ashes right now? There's one. There's just one. So we don't know how many are in this Magnarchitect deck. But what Pine might be able to do is wait until the Evoke comes out.
Poster 2 days ago and it
hey,
looks
Jack.
Great. Keep up the good work, Blood Trail.
Thank you very much, dude. Appreciate it. No, not now! No, why are you doing this now? Okay, you don't know that the Gugu has Evoke. But why would you mill this? This is one card that the Gugu can't play.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay, there's still a chance. There might still be another one. Okay, here's the Evoke. Evoke is gonna probably shuffle 6 Blooming Blackleys back into this deck. If Pine just hadn't done, like had just waited and not played that card, this Magnarchitect would have won 100% of the time.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Of course, it's hard. The Magnarchitect didn't know that there was Evoke. Of course, didn't know that there was Evoke. So like, but I think it is still a bit silly to mill this big bot because it just doesn't matter. Like,
no, I mean,
you can't play it. The Gugu can't play it. It costs 2 ambition, which Gugu only has 1, and it costs 2 valor, which Gugu has none. Like, this is just not happening.
Yeah. It's in the heat at the moment. It's easy, isn't it? So to not so much. I don't want to say Pine panicked, but to think, wow, I don't want this thing to come down and discard 18 cards, and then so it's easy to mill it off. Empty doorway. I mean, I hope for Pine's sake they're running another empty doorway, but is it a card you run 3 of? I mean, they are running a mill package, so.
Oh my god. Gugu evoked Evoke.
Oh wow! They can basically rebuild their deck now.
No, there's 11 cards in there.
Oh wow!
Oh
How do
my
you hard
God.
counter a mill deck? Well, you just evoke and evoke and then just keep looping it. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that's crazy.
So you can't evoke the evoke that you're playing, right? That doesn't work. But I assume that there was just another evoke in the ashes. There's another one. Oh, Pine, you had it. I'm so sad. That was such a misplay.
I mean, the only hope here that Pine can do is that that they keep evoking the evoke and they keep top decking the evoke.
I don't
If that
think so.
happens, they're in an infinite loop, but I can't imagine that happening.
No. I don't think the Gugu is evoking evoke. I think the Gugu evoked evoke once and it's now evoking blooming blackly.
Yeah.
Right? Because why would you? What else would you do? Oh, that's good. That is good. You actually you play a third Crag Warden.
Yes.
You have bags of
Just in the mill
crowns.
now. Yeah. Of course, the attack now is gonna get rid of 9 cards, and I think I saw there was 16 or 15 in there.
It can attack twice. What is this card? This is gonna matter so much. What is it? It's another evoke. That doesn't do anything. Oh my god.
Wow. Wow. This is insane.
Okay, wait, but this is not actually enough because, like, I think there's gonna be. How many cards are gonna be in this deck? There's gonna be more than. Yeah, there's more than 18 cards in this deck. So that means there's gonna be 3 cards left remaining unless there's another Knife Made Wise.
Or invoke. Maybe they get
Oh my god, no, the Magna Architect is out of cards. She might just die. Oh no! No,
Oh,
empty
wow,
doorway.
yeah.
Okay. You did it. You fully milled them out.
Okay,
But
that's
you-
it. They're out of everything now.
Wait, how much damage do you have though? You have 18 damage a turn. And you die in what? 4 turns. Oh my god. Oh no.
Okay, so this swings it twice again now. This is literally to the wire. This is insanely close.
Gugu loses though. No, no. It's enough. It's enough. Gugu loses. Oh my god. This
Do we know who
game.
won game 1? Do we know who won game 1? Is this for the tie in the series?
I don't know.
or-
I couldn't tell you. I guess we can check that this. No, they don't post for matches. Just for games, so we don't know. Yeah, this is something we need to improve about our spectating feature a little bit. Yeah. With 1 HP.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that
Oh my god.
is like what a comeback. What a comeback.
So that was
by
game
Blight.
2. That was game 2.
Literally staring defeat in the face and then out of nowhere.
That was crazy.
So I assume now it's 1-1 in the series. The fact they're going to the sideboarding again. So that was absolutely crazy. And obviously the joy now of sideboarding phase is they've both had 2 games to really kind of suss their opponent's deck out and see how they can counter. And Gugu, I mean, we're looking at Gugu's hand now. And is there anything you'd put in here, Balmy, that would counter what just happened?
Generally speaking, I think. I don't know. It's really tricky, right? Because okay, so with sideboarding, I think the experience you have a lot is that going from game 1 to 2, you sideboard a lot, and going from game 2 to 3, you don't, because you already sideboarded, right? Like you already did it. I don't really know. I don't think this was really so much a problem of. This wasn't so much a problem of the cards available. It more about execution. I think there were a lot of moments where both players could have played differently that would have changed the outcome of the match a little bit, right? Because like the Gugu literally lost because of 1 missing damage, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, the chance of getting 3 evokes in a row is incredibly low as well. So I think if that match plays out 10 times, that only happens once. So yeah, and 1 damage was like you said. Crazy.
I mean, admittedly, there were a lot of mistakes on the side of the Magna Architect as well, right? Magna Architect missed the Monomaniac mill early on. Magna Architect didn't sequence the what's it called? Or like kind of wasted the empty doorway.
Yep.
Which of course, Pine Exchanger didn't know. I don't mean to like sit here and like say that, I know best. Although of course I do know best. No, I don't mean to be here and like tell you that I know exactly what to do, and I don't know if I would have played better in that situation, because it's really difficult to know. Like, we have kind of this omnipotent point of view. It's easy for us.
Yeah.
But looking at it, there were some moments where I feel like a little bit of a different decision really could have made a difference there. I wonder if we're going to see just a Monomaniac. If I had a Monomaniac in this situation, and I would mulligan for Monomaniac, I would just eat that immediately. Just drop the Monomaniac. You can see here, this deck right now plays so much recursion. We've got cards like the Scholar's Attendant. I add a copy of a spell from your ashes to your hand and a copy of a spell from your hands to your ashes. So you can kind of like trade cards and build resources with like ashes into action. You have War Chronicler, which has 4 neutral 2 cooldown. I add a copy of a card from your ashes to your hand. And then also an ability that's actually going to be relevant here. I move up to 3 cards from your opponent's ashes to yours. This War Chronicler can steal cards from your opponent's ashes, which turns out that might really matter here, because then you can take these golems, these big bots, like this big bot food out of the ashes. Like, you can take the crack wardens out of there.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, chat just mentioned, someone in chat mentioned, asked what sideboarding is. I think that's a really good question, because a lot of digital card games actually don't sideboard. Like, a surprising amount of them don't sideboard. So
I like sideboarding.
When you deck build, you'll create in Chroma, you'll create your 40-card deck, but you also create a 10-card sideboard. You cannot sideboard before a game. So you're playing best of 3, you can't just go, I'm going to change the deck now. After game 1, win or lose, you then have a sideboarding opportunity. You can choose to take up to 10 cards out of your deck and put 10 cards into your deck from your sideboard. And then again, if it goes to a game 3, between game 2 and 3, you can do the same as well. That's effectively what sideboarding is. It's a very nice way of, I'm not say countering a meta, but it's a very nice way of building. Let's say you make an aggro list that struggles against a certain archetype. It's a very nice way of teching into that archetype, so you can make sure that matchup, you might get trounced game 1, but it allows you to have a comeback game 2 and potentially game 3 by teching into that kind of matchup. So it's more of a bit, I don't want to say big brain play, but it's it is people who
it requires some brain
games
power.
I've played with. It's a very much a skill. Sideboarding well is can easily win you matches if you're a good deck builder with your sideboard and knowing when and what to sideboard. So that's basically what sideboard is.
Yeah.
Sideboard.
In Chroma, there's actually one additional feature to sideboarding. So in Chroma, the way the mana curve works, the way you gain mana, right, is that your hero has access to a certain amount of mana. For example, Architect has access to 4 Valor, 4 Insight, and 4 Ambition. And you, the player, decide during deck building how you build your mana curve, right? So you can say, I want so this many of that card, and I want to start out with an Insight and then have my Valor and then an Ambition, and I want 2 more Insight. And you kind of like build that yourself. You can actually rebuild your mana curve during sideboarding. You can change it out completely. Which means that, for example, if I'm playing a Architect deck, you might have a deck that originally looks like something we saw from Hobnob, where Hobnob had this really kind of aggressive marking-based deck that just wanted to build a board and win quickly. But what you could do is you could then put cards like Empty Doorway and more Crack Wardens and maybe more Monomaniacs into the sideboard, and then just kind of like swap out your list. Change it completely from like an aggressive strategy to a milling strategy, and also adjust your mana curve accordingly. I think there's like a lot of interesting elements to that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I just, again, it's only because I found this out the other day as well. You keep mentioning Insight, Valor, Ambition, Devotion. That relates to the color of the mana. So, correct me if I'm wrong. Blue is Insight, red is Valor, green is Ambition, and purple is Devotion.
Yes.
So, and that's why you'll see you can choose actually in the menu to turn text on and off, but if you see 3I on a blue, that just means 3 Insight. If you see obviously 2V on a red, that would mean 2 Valor, and so on with the Ambition and Devotion as well.
What just was... So Open Arms is a card. Open Arms, choose a card from the story or either Hero's Ashes, place it on top of your deck. Usually you use Open Arms to like, steal something that your opponent has in play. What just was Open's arm? What did the Google just use Open's arm? Open arms on? I'm a little surprised that there was just used. I guess taking something from the ashes. Was there a crack warden in there that I missed? I mean, I thought maybe Blooming Blackly, bringing that back.
Maybe. I mean, maybe, yeah, because obviously you can use it on your own ashes as well as your opponent's ashes. So maybe bringing the Blooming Blackly back. I mean, let's be serious. One more Blooming Blackly last game would have won them the game. So
yeah.
But it's
I guess a War Chronicler. So really wanting to use that recursion as much as possible, right? Using the War Chronicler and putting a lot of emphasis on using it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
The War Chronicler, it doesn't change the mana cost for other cards. If you take a card from your opponent, it doesn't reduce or remove tied in mana, right?
No. So if you steal a card from your opponent's ashes, if you don't have the mana to play it, then you just won't be able to play it. That makes it a bit tricky. I mean, there's still a lot of value to just doing that, though, right? Just kind of taking stuff away from that. And actually, this is kind of an interesting element here. Something we saw in sideboarding was that the Gugu actually plays the Folly. Now, the Folly is a card that is usually placed in aggressive decks, right? What the Folly does is for every card in your opponent's ashes. For every card in your ashes, your opponent takes damage, and also the other way around. So kind of like every turn, it kind of like varies it up a little bit. So if I have 10 cards in my ashes, then at the start of my opponent's turn, they'll take 5 damage. Because it's always half. Now, you wouldn't play this in this kind of controlling deck, usually. Because if you do, well, what ends up happening is that you take a lot of damage because you're killing all of their stuff, but you aren't really playing anything yourself, right? But this is where maybe the War Chronicler comes in. You play the War Chronicler, you steal all of the companions out of their ashes, and all of a sudden the Folly will do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And none to you.
It's because from that War Chronicler that was just voided, so that cannot come back out of the ashes with an open arms or anything that really don't want to bring it back out of the ashes with. It's voided now. It's in the, you see the little purple swirling thing next to the deck. It means that's where you can check out your void there as well. Also, just a point, because I know obviously Chroma is releasing very soon on Steam, so people will be here from other card games. Spells, this was something that I had to get my head around because I'm so used to where I played a lot of Magic in the past, spells being referred to everything, but in Chroma it is companions. Spells aren't companions or creatures, if you want to call it that.
No.
Spells are spells, landmarks are landmarks, enchantments are enchantments, and companions are companions. Just in case anyone's wondering if mentioning the spell keyword relates to companions as well.
No. There are 4 different distinct card types, and they all kind of are their own thing.
Yeah, which is nice. I quite like that, to be honest. I don't want to talk anything bad of Magic because I've played Magic for many years. But I feel like Magic's a great paper game. I feel like it doesn't work very well in the digital space.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. And I quite like how Chroma takes the best elements of Magic, not in terms of a direct steal, but in terms of influence, and does its own thing with them, which is great. That's what any good card game should do, is take inspiration from other card games at work and make them unique in their own way.
Man, I think this Gugu deck is just a Blooming Blackly deck. That's all it is. It's just a Blooming Blackly deck. It's just yeeting Blooming Blackly every single turn.
I mean, they are 4 Blooming Blackly away from lethal, and again, don't stuff at the E-Core 5/5 on the board, because if Pine has no answer for that 5/5, then that's not an additional Blooming Blackly, because they're not getting the plating and the 5 spot damage off it, but it's still doing the 5 damage you would get off of Blooming Blackly.
This is such a defensive Magnarchitect deck. I mean, look at this, playing Planar School, Release, Be Like the Sun, all of the big kind of like very powerful removal spells that are available to both red and blue.
And they're so expensive as well, those cards.
Yeah.
They're almost one-turn play cards. They're extortionately expensive, but I mean, they remove the story completely. So there's a reason why they're so expensive.
All right, it's starting to look kind of sketch though. I mean, Magnarchitect not looking super hot here with the 15 HP. I assume this is where we're going to see a Crack Warden. Yeah, Crag Warden destroys that, and then Son of Driven and Knife Made Vice. Knife Made Vice would be... Oh, that is so juicy. How many cards are left? 10. That's probably game.
Yeah, so that's... So the ability there gives Companion Bolt and +2 as well. So that's only an evolved ability there, right?
Yeah, that's something only available in Act 3, so you can't do it immediately.
Yeah.
So what's the Google strategy now? I mean, I guess you can try to open arms, and is there a Evoke available? Yeah, wait. Yeah, there's an Evoke, okay. So you open arms for Evoke. But that is a slow play. You can't draw the card immediately. So then it probably just gets milled anyway, right? Like if I'm Pine here, I wait. I wait with my Crag Warden. I just chill, and I play the. I wait with my ultimate, right?
Yeah, big bot can eat that Crag Warden and again gain that text. As we found out last, if they eat 2 of them, they get to discard 18. Not that there's 18 cards in Gugu's deck, but they get to do that, and they get to do the double dawn ability as well, which is to destroy a permanent.
Yeah, so here's gonna be the ultimate coming out. It does put just like a strong body on the board, but I don't know. Oh my god! That's it. That's game. Never mind. You got it. You got it. Perfect.
Wow,
yeah,
there you go. Yeah, there you go.
No, that's what you do. You discard their deck, and then you play Monomaniac, so they discard their hand to draw a bunch of cards. They die.
Wow, how'd you beat Gugu? Just mill him.
Just mill him. Just mill him out. Yeah.
That's it. Easy hard counter. Wow.
I'm really happy about the way that worked out, right? Because like we saw yesterday that this Google deck can just be so overwhelming at times if you're trying to like get through it with like controlling methods or anything else. But turns out you just mill them out, just play their game, right? Just say, you know what? You want to take your time? Perfect. That gives me all the time in the world to set up to just take all of your cards away.
That's it. How do you beat a deck that likes to play cards? Just remove their cards.
That's right.
It's as simple as that. That's the easy option.
And this is something that's really important to keep in mind, right? Like the Guru deck we just saw is an incredibly defensive deck. That deck is full of nothing but defense and removal, right? All it wants to do is sit there and play an 8-mana card every single turn, and that's all it does. That's its strategy. If you play something that slow, then you're giving your opponent all the time they need to set up and just do whatever they want.
Someone in chat can we explain the end again? Pine played Monomaniac, which is if you control a golem, you discard 4 cards. Now, the Gugu had open arms in hands, which was a way of bringing back the evoke, and then the evoke could then bring back more cards and help them rebuild their deck. But once that Monomaniac went down with only 4 cards in hand, Gugu, as much as they had, I think, 54 life, they had no cards in deck. They had no way of bringing cards back from the ashes. They were just sitting ducks. They were going to be taking incremental fatigue damage each turn, as well as face damage from the board as well. So it was game. They forfeit in the end. That's why the defeat come up before the life went to 0. But yeah, it was an absolute wonderful play of the Monomaniac. Perfect timing. And yeah, it was a great matchup. I don't want to say I'm happy that Magnetic Effect won, but I do like the way they played that. I like the way they teched into that kind of list. I like the way they countered it with the mill. It was really, really.
So let's have a quick look here at the bracket. So we've got losers, top 8. We've got Monsakai losing to Baklasan, who is now playing against Hobnot. And Hippie winning over Nadaris, and he's now playing against Salva Shak Diman, which is going to be the Gugu deck. Let's see if Hobnob is already in a game. Maybe we can have a look at this. If I remember correctly, Baklasan was playing Venora yesterday, which is a bit exciting. Oh yes, Venora. So this time around, there comes the Venora value play immediately. But we've got a Magnarchitect versus a Venora deck. Don't worry, the Magnarchitect deck is not milled. This is just a little bit of a replay bug. Or not replay bug, but spectator mode issue. But here you go, it is back. You can, however, see that a Magnarchitect actually already doing a ton of damage, right? Venora sitting at 29 life. So let's have a quick look at Venora's abilities. I think we're all familiar with Magnarchitect by now. But Venora, primary, add a crown to your hand. So a crown is a card that doesn't cost any mana and just generates a neutral mana. What it does is it just kind of lets you carry mana between turns a little bit, right? You spend 2 mana right now, so you can then in a later turn have 1 additional mana. For secondary, start the game with an additional bag of crowns. Every third turn afterwards, add a bag of crowns to your hand. Bag of crowns, this bad boy. Add 1 chromatic mana to your mana pool until end of turn. Look, this is what Venora is about. She's rich, she makes money, right? That's it. Let me make some money. Let me have these crowns and bag of crowns. And then her ultimate is fairly simple, draw 5 cards. Venora is a hero that is all about having a lot of resources and making long, powerful turns happen with those. She plays very different from Gugu, right? What we just saw with Gugu was Gugu likes to just kind of like play a card or two every turn, or maybe even just no card, just chill. Venora does not chill. Venora has never chilled in her life. She just plays and plays and plays. There we go. Here we see.
I feel like Venora is a great showcase of the versatility of Chroma in terms of. I mean, the first deck I ever played in Chroma was a crown control deck. It's had some slight balance adjustments to it still, but it's still pretty strong. Because with the bag of crowns, you can get some big, powerful cards out, like well ahead of curve.
Yeah.
So you can play a nice control deck, but you can play aggro decks, mid-range decks. And I feel like Verona's a very, very good. I feel like she's a very good hero to play if you're new to the game. I feel like she's a very good kind of. I don't want to say starter hero because that sounds condescending to her, but I enjoyed using her, and she really helped me personally understand the whole. The mana system and the bag crowns and playing ahead of curve and some of the cards. But yeah, I think she's a great hero in the game.
Yeah, I personally think Venora is like one of the strongest heroes in the game. She just gets she gets to make these really long, complicated turns happen with lots and lots of resources available that are very unique to Venora, but are also incredibly powerful. So we'll see how this works out. Right? We're gonna Captain Tomato. I see Captain Tomato still a little confused by that last game. So let me go ahead and explain just in really short terms, really quick. But basically what happened is that the Gugu was out of cards in his deck and still had a few cards in hand. And he was hoping to maybe like make something happen with those to like get some cards back into the deck to try and like put pressure on the opponent again and win the game. However, at that point, a Monomaniac was played. Monomaniac discards your hand, and then you have to draw 4 new cards. So the Gugu discarded his hand, at which point he had 0 cards, and then needed to draw 4 more cards, but there are no more cards in the deck. At this stage, Gugu has no cards in the deck and no cards in hand, which means there's nothing the Gugu can do anymore. The Gugu didn't die in that moment. He could have stayed in the game for a bit longer and probably survived another turn or 2 or 3. But what's the point? Without any cards, there's no way to deal damage. There's no way you can kill your opponent. And so that's where we just saw the concession, right? So that's... I was really... I don't know. I'm really excited about it. But I hope that explains it a bit. Hey, thank you very much for the subs, Rabarbra and Siant. Appreciate it. So, Baklasan, taking some time. With Venora, you definitely sometimes have these turns where you just sit there and you're like, okay, I need to count exactly how much mana I'm going to have. Especially since oftentimes cards you play will generate additional mana. So you can, like for example right here, we see that the Hope comes out after an ally companion attacks. Hope triggers Dead On, which then triggers the Develop effect and duplication effect from the Epigon. Develop is an effect where you get this enchantment, which you can use to gain more mana. Look, there's a lot of mana generation and resource generation happening with Venora. And that's always something to keep in mind. No, this is actually, I think, a very important card to draw here. Prey. Return target opposing permanent to your opponent's hand. A random enchantment from the hand enters the story. Destroy that enchantment. Hope is a card that can get out of hand really quickly because it just it accelerates your resources by so much, because you play a lot of companions that have dawn effects, and then hope is on the field, and all of these dawn effects keep getting triggered over and over again. Especially with a card like Epigon. What Epigon does is it allows you to create a copy of another target permanent, so you can like add more and more stuff to your hand. You do not want to deal with that. You want to get this kind of stuff out of the game as quickly as possible, because if you don't, things are going to start looking sour really, really quickly. So you can see here, we're just going to get rid of the hope, and no more hope here.
Yeah. So Venora does look like she has an absolute ton of cards in hand, because what she does, but a lot of those cards will be Bag of Crowns, and also her primary gives her a crown, which is neutral mana. It's not chromatic. So Bag of Crowns give chromatic, which cover all 4 different mana pools. The primary only gives her neutral mana, so she can only use that to pay for any grey mana on her visual. So you can see at the bottom of the screen there's a couple of grey mana circles that her primary can only pay for that part of the mana. So that's why her hand will often look very, very big, because she'll be using primary to make sure she's not wasting any mana, and also a lot of the cards she plays will generate the Bag of Crowns in her hand, as well as a secondary, which is every other turn she'll create a Bag of Crowns in the hand, and Red Sky Racketeer coming down is going to add to that and create a Bag of Crowns at the end of every turn as well. So there's a lot of money in her hand.
Lots
right
of
now.
money. Yeah. By the way, very good positioning here from Bakla-san. So you can see these are very widely spread out, leaving lots of space between them. This matters a lot, because there's By the Skin of My Teeth, which is actually a card that is very powerful in these Magna-Architect decks. Reduce the maximum health of target allied companion to 1. Destroy their adjacent companions. So this is something you can use to just kind of, pop people, right? And just take them down. So that's a very, very powerful effect there.
One thing I want to point out about that, because it's, again, when I first started, adjacent also means allied as well. So if you played it, so you had a companion in page 2 as you're looking at the board, and you also had allied companions in page 1 and 3, it would destroy your allied companions as well as the opposing 3 companions.
Yeah. But it does require some decent positioning, right? And also it's just going phase. Yeah, just go phase.
Yeah. We didn't see in the previous match, right? Hobnob never had the chance against the Siege Baron list against Benedict, I believe it was, to go face. They were always on the defensive. They were always playing behind them. Whereas this is where kind of Magna-Architect likes to be, kind of it's slightly in front, right? And then putting pressure on, because with Verona currently at 16 health, once it goes to Act 3, big bot coming down with a bolt and anything that's going to buff it up even more. It's especially with the plating card in hand, the plating and attack twice in hand. That's going to put a lot of threat on the board with a big bot. That's 12 damage there on its own.
Yeah, this is looking kind of. This is actually very close here. So how do you do this as the Magna-Architect?
Because I mean, top deck remix soldiers and then rally with that on the big bot. And
I don't know if there's enough mana. Oh, that's it. She needed 3 damage. Well, guess what deals 3 damage?
Basilix, there's 22 heroes in the game at the moment, and there will be at launch, I believe. Balmies can correct me if I'm
yes,
I'm wrong.
22 heroes. Lots of strange little boys.
I mean, we all know that playing cards isn't
and
the
weird things.
Part, it's top decking. How you top deck is how you know if you're a good player in card games.
That's true. Sometimes you just gotta get lucky.
that's
bit of a scam, though. Bit of a scam. But hey, that's how it goes. Right, one of the big downsides with Venora is that she doesn't have any healing. Oh, wait. That was it. That was it, dude. You're already done. All right.
Oh, wow.
Hobnob moving on. Still in it. Let's go have a look at winners finals. Oh, I guess not. Can I get in there? Okay, not in the game. It should be Benedict versus Pinex Ginger soon. Alright, I guess they're not playing yet. I guess, sometimes you just take a moment to wait that out. So Hobnob moving on, gonna be in in losers semis right now. I mean, as far as being delayed, Ginger needing some time. That's fair. That's fair. Look, that's absolutely fine. We're gonna have a look at how Hippie is playing against the Gugu. And by the way, I'm really sorry that I keep calling that player Gugu, but that name... it's just hard, okay? I don't know. Yeah. Zavashakatiman. If you give me an easier name to pronounce, I will call you by your name.
Just kind of abbreviate him down to Sav.
No, I will keep calling him Gugu.
Gugu, yeah.
Because Gugu's fun to say.
Bibu and Gugu.
Gugu is very fun to say.
So Bibu, anyone watching now, Bibu is a very, very strong hero in terms of the secondary. Allows you to float mana. What that means is at the moment, you can see Hippie still has 2 red or 2 velour mana open up in the mana bar. So when they start the next turn, they will have that 2 velour mana in the center of their screen floating. So they have access to it this turn. You'll be able to see it now. Yeah. It doesn't carry over between turns. So you can't stockpile over 3 or 4 turns. It is only over to the next turn. And it's very strong. Again, almost similar to Venora, where they play ahead of curve through the battlegrounds. Bibu plays ahead of curve, but not so much. The floating mana is almost stronger by the amount of spells that Bibu can put out, I would say, in the kind of current state, rather than playing ahead of curve. She's a very, very powerful leader or hero.
Yeah, Bebu is all about kind of being like, you want to think ahead with Bebu, right? You want to plan ahead. That's what she's all about.
Yeah.
And, okay, all right. So we see 2 Revels and Cruelties out. This is a bit of an unusual play. Revels and Cruelty is not... So you tend to use Revels and Cruelty. This card has a very powerful removal effect. I may enter already occupied allied pages. If I do, I destroy the permanent in that page. Then I destroy my opposing adjacent permanents. That's what you use Revels and Cruelty for, usually. But Gugu is about healing. And Revels and Cruelty also turns all healing into damage, which is very handy against somebody that is all about healing. So there's gonna be some good, like there's like a lot of pressure coming out from this Bebu already, right? You can see here Knife Made Vice being played, increasing the chances for a potential disaster. Oh man, these guys have Overwhelm as well, that's right. Overwhelm breaking through barriers, as we already mentioned.
Yeah. So if anyone caught the wondering how the card became to be, that Behold and Becomes is a 3 mana card that was played beforehand, which has the ability that you can play straight away, and it allows you to copy any card you basically that's in the story, opponents and allied companions. So you can copy any card with that ability. However, if Warded is on a card, you cannot copy it because you're targeting with the ability.
Yeah, you can just kind of create a really big guy and then just copy it. Have another one.
Yeah.
Have another one.
Also, people were asking about do all heroes have 3 mana to spend? Not all of them. As far as I know, there's not a single mono mana hero. There are a couple of 2 mana heroes. There's even one that creates every mana pool available, all 4 basic chromatic mana in Act 3. There's a lot of versatility with the heroes. And yeah, some utilize 2 mana, some utilize 3, some utilize 4.
The Google just buffed the little doggo. That is really funny. Oh my god. So that's not a bug, by the way. That is expected behavior. Because that doggo was actually dead. It was just being kept alive by the veteran executor aura. So the dog actually had less than 1 HP. And if the aura goes away, the doggo would have died. But Humility put it back to having 1 HP. So it was made stronger that way. Okay, so what was I saying? Yes, the heroes. So every hero has at least 2 mana. A lot of heroes have 3 mana. A lot of heroes do have 2 as well. It kind of depends on what kind of hero we're talking about, really. Like, for example, Bebu has a pretty nice distribution of mana. It's definitely one of her strengths. And Gugu only has 1 ambition, right? You might be looking at why don't these Gugu players play more ambition if they rely on it so much? Because they can't. Gugu only has 1 ambition. So that kind of like limits it a little bit. Man, still just sticking to the game plan here, but I think this is just over. No 5 words. Very good. That will protect you. Yeah, so, but what was I saying? The Google players, they just kind of have a limited amount of green mana available to them. There is one hero in the game that, strictly speaking, has all 4 mana, although that's maybe describing her a bit simplistically, because she has access to all 4 mana, but never to more than 3 in a single turn, and never to the same 3 in 2 following turns. And in case that sounds confusing, just wonder what it feels like to play.
Yeah,
We do not talk about Where's Many Minds.
No, I've not even played Where's Many Minds yet. I feel like I need about another 70 hours in the game before I even attempt to run a Where's Many Minds list.
Yeah.
For those wondering now, a card that is heavily debated, I'm going to say, in the Discord, Interdiction has entered the story, which allows you, the controller, to choose a card type, this card here. And this, basically, your opponent cannot play cards of that card type. So I'm assuming Bibu chose spells. Gugu has a lot of spells. So Gugu now cannot play spells. That's why they play the enchantment. Now, if there is a way of copying this card, there is a way of having 2 interdictions in the story, meaning that you can rotate it every turn, because the card will have a 2 CD, meaning 2 cooldown ability. But yeah, so Interdiction is a heavily debated card from what I've seen. But yeah, we saw they're taking the game there, which isn't surprising, really.
Probably gonna be changing Interdiction a bit. I don't think it's overpowered. It's just not that fun, and I want people to have fun with the game, so we're probably gonna be changing that one up a little bit.
This is what I was saying this the other day, that it's my only issue with it is it creates a very binary interaction. You have to run certain cards that are going to cancel it, and a lot of the enchantment control in the game are spells. So if they choose spells, you're already limiting yourself quite a lot with that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think it's overpowered at all. I mean, by all means, I'm not here to balance cards, but one thing I quite like is maybe only having 1 in play, because it still disrupts your opponent, so you can't duplicate it, you can't copy it. But
I don't like those kind of changes at all. I find them really clunky, because it's because the thing is, like, it's one of those things where what you're effectively doing, you're introducing an extra rule for a card. And generally speaking, when I'm trying to design games, I want them to like have as little rules as possible, right? Like, for me, a perfect game has like 2 rules.
No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, kind of sub rules are built on those rules.
And so, what I'm probably gonna do with Interdiction is, like, I was thinking either making the effect be a dawn, so it only lasts a single turn, or making it so that it doesn't prevent the playing of cards fully, but it increases the mana cost instead. I feel like there's lots of different ways of going with this kind of effect and changing it up. But I don't know. I'm generally I'm a big fan of keeping like the rules as consistent as possible. And but admittedly, I say that, and then I put more in the game, and then I need to shut up.
Easy to do, though. Easy to do.
Because Maul exists, and so that's really all we have to say.
But this is honestly, well, this looks like an aggressive start from Gugu, but the enchantment we have down there does create. It helps create those 2/2 little flying birds that we see.
Oh yeah, that's
over there, and that's why they're kind of throwing the board up.
I wonder if
that's what they look like on an aggressive board.
I wonder if the Google is like playing more aggressive now, because like, you know, that's actually a pretty strong board here, just kind of trying to tempo out a little bit.
Yeah, and the 2 damage is quite nice because it allows you to manage your damage up to barrier. So obviously now Boo Boo's at 30. If they would all been 3, then they'd effectively been losing one proc of damage. So the 2s are nice to manage. They're easy to manage the incremental damage up to health barriers, which can mean that you're not exhausting damage. You're not wasting damage, shall we say, based on one big companion that's going to be hit by a health barrier, leading into an additional act.
What do you feel about a ban list or a limit list? So this is actually a question that I've seen a surprising amount, like where people are like, well, how do you feel about banning cards? I hate banning cards. I think banning cards is the worst thing you can do. But the great thing is I will never have to do it because I can just balance cards. Right? Like the reason why Hearthstone and like Magic and shit, the reason why they don't want to balance cards is because they sold you the cards and they sold you a good card, you paid for it, and then they make it worse. Like that feels terrible. But I didn't sell you shit. I didn't sell you a card. You download the game, you have all of the cards. So let me just make the game the most fun it can be. Let me balance it in a way that is entertaining to play and that is enjoyable to be using in a competitive environment. And we just don't have to worry about stuff like, oh, but you know, is this going to be, you know, like, yeah, do we have to ban this later? No, we will never have to ban anything because we can just make sure that the game is balanced. That's it. That's all we're gonna do. It's really easy.
I mean, the only time I don't mind a ban, it's not really a ban, but when you're having an event, so if you're playing like a draft event, sometimes banning a card from that one event it can be quite nice because it can make certain events.
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about.
I know what you mean. Yeah, the actual banning is. I mean, that's the reason I don't play Magic the Gathering Arena anymore. Is because it's just, the game infuriates me in the digital space. But as a paper game, I still play when I can with friends. Obviously, at the moment, that's unfortunately not possible.
All right, I'm gonna pop out of this one. I think we've seen enough Google for now.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see Gugu like flipping the script really and playing aggressive, really going ham on face and really putting pressure on Hippie there and taking the fight back to them, shall we say.
And here we go. We are in our... This is just a tempo deck, right? The Siege Baron, Tempo Siege Baron. Oh man, you can put a lot of stuff on the board right here. So this is going to be Benedict versus Pinex Ginger. This is winners finals. Pinex Ginger busting out the Bebu. Ditching the Magnarchitect for this round. So you are allowed to change decks between rounds. That is fine. You do not have to stick to the same deck. And Pinex Ginger deciding that, you know what, I think my opponent is playing a deck where I have a better chance at winning if I play like a Bebu deck. The question is what kind of Bebu deck this is. There is healing. Probably Bebu-Hema. I would guess this is Bebu-Hema. This looks like Bebu-Hema.
Hema's an incredibly strong card. So Hema's a legendary, which means you're only allowed to run one copy of that card in your list, in your deck. There are ways of copying or duplicating to be able to have more on the story, but you're only actually allowed to start with one in your deck. And Hema allows you, when you play a spell, basically play a copy of that spell. So something like Deconstruct all of a sudden becomes 6 damage to face just for 1 mana. And it's an incredibly powerful card. But I think I was watching your stream the other day when you were talking about you wanted these legendaries to feel genuinely game-changing, almost like ultimate abilities in their own right, because you can only run one copy of them. And they really do. Ironheart for the Valor is very strong. They're the only two I've really played with is Ironheart and Hema, and they're both incredibly strong cards that can really swing the tides of a game.
Yeah, I wanted them to really like feel like they matter, right? And like when they come down, when they come into play, it feels like, oh, look, you know, there's something scary now. So let me go ahead and briefly explain how the Bebu-Hema deck works. We haven't seen it too much, which makes me very happy. Going into this tournament, I was terrified that the entire tournament was just going to be only Bebu-Hema, right? That was my worst nightmare. So how does it work? There is Bebu-Bumo, which we see here. And Bebu-Bumo has the ability to just kind of like get a lot more mana into play, much quicker than other heroes could. And you can utilize that to have a really big, powerful turn where you just play a lot of cards. So what this deck tries to do is it tries to get into the late game. It tries to get into Act 3 and then just waits. Waits 1 turn to save up mana. Goes into the next turn. Plays Gardaza Hema. Gardaza Hema now, whenever you play a spell, doubles that spell. And when she attacks, you can take a spell from your ashes and play that spell as well. Then you play a Son of Driven, which gives the Gardaza Hema bolt and +2 attack. So now she has 11 attack and can immediately attack. And then you play a Knife Made Vice. Knife Made Vice makes it so that your Gardaza Hema can attack twice. Well, can attack an additional time for every Knife Made Vice played on her. Which means right now she can attack twice. But then her first effect triggers. The spell is played twice. Now she can attack 3 times. She attacks. The Knife Made Vice comes out of the ashes, is played again through her on attack trigger, You play it on a Gradasa Hema again. Now she can attack 4 times. So you now have an additional 3 attacks for 11 damage each, which every time she does attack, you will play another spell from your ashes. So you might have another Knife Made Vice there, or you might have just like a damage spell or something in there. And it just leads to a very easy, very efficient one-turn kill.
Yeah, it's incredibly strong. Ziont, the enchantments have shiny cookies, as you call them on there. They're effectively turn timers. You can see 2 thereafter. Once those shiny cookies count down to 0, then they're removed from the story. It's just the way enchantments work. It allows enchantments to be quite strong, but have a limited time to survive. Now, one thing to point out, especially for players getting into the game, because it caught me by surprise, is if you use a card that says like approximate when it destroys a card, if you're using that on a enchantment companion, it won't proc, because if you kill an enchantment companion before the timer is up, then it stays as an enchantment. So, for example, Starving Still, if you used to do 2 damage now with Starving Still, you wouldn't get the Hunger Grows in your hand because you don't destroy the enchantment. You're just killing the companion, but the enchantment staying on the board. I've misplayed that. I cannot tell you how many times. But yeah, so it's a nice way to understand the keywords, and that's how enchantments manage their kind of life.
So looking at this game, I think I just spent like a solid 2 minutes explaining how Babohema works, and this is not actually Babohema. This is just the tempo Babu deck. I guess that's fine. So, basically what we have here is we have just 2 tempo decks playing against each other, right? Just 2 decks that are all about like getting powerful companions into play and kind of building a strong board. So, funnily enough, I think over the course of the tournament we have seen a lot of kind of silly decks, right? Silly styles of decks, silly styles of cards coming out. And finally, here we arrive at just companion combat.
Yeah, it's time, but we're here now. Sorry, Wispy is completely correct. Yeah, if a card does say it destroys a target permanent, it will destroy any card on the board. It will destroy a landmark, it will destroy an enchantment, it will destroy a companion, because that's a permanent. So what I meant was cards that gain cards off of. I think Starving Steel is probably the perfect example. If you gain a card by destroying a card, if you used to do that on a companion enchantment.
The problem that you're describing with Starving Steel specifically is that Starving Steel says destroy companion.
Yes,
right?
Yeah,
it deals damage to a companion. And if you destroy the companion part of a companion enchantment, then the enchantment part survives. Yeah. But if you destroy the enchantment part of a companion enchantment, then they actually just go away and they're dead too. All right, so that's kind of like how you can utilize that a bit. This is so much pressure coming out here. The Stolen from the Dark. Oh my god, that card is so good. Can I... Okay. Stolen from the Dark, by the way. Probably one of my favorite card designs. That was one that I'm really happy with, because it leads to some very interesting styles of decks and opens up a lot of interesting possibilities. I'm actually very proud of it. Although right now it is just wrecking people, which I feel good about. I have no problem with that.
This is why it's nice to watch the like competitive Chroma, because you're seeing these brilliantly designed decks come in, and like you said, cards that I've played quite a lot of Chroma on not ladder, because there's no actual ranked ladder mode, but in the casual queue, and some of these cards I've just not seen, and seeing these combos now built and how people have built these combos to pilot their decks is it's brilliant, it's great, and it's kind of showcasing the versatility that Chroma does offer through its many heroes and its many archetypes available.
Yeah, this is looking like a quick game one though. I mean, this Babu, she just never really got started. Like, something that's important to keep in mind about Babu is, well, yes, she can play huge things immediately. Or like she can play huge companions much faster than other heroes can. She doesn't really get it for free. She can't generate mana. She can only transfer mana between turns, right?
Yeah.
So she doesn't, strictly speaking, like ramp. She doesn't ever get more mana than she would otherwise have. And in this kind of matchup where you're just being pressured from the very beginning, you just can't afford to wait a turn. If you just wait a turn, you know what happens? You die.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, Siege Baron's sitting very nice here, 42 health. Will of the Woods is obviously a good card to put some kind of companion tempo on the board, but it's with health at 13, it's going to require a little bit more than that to really pull back into this game.
All right, Song of Driven coming out. How did that axe play work out? I thought mana cost 2 or less. Wait, what? The Hunger Grows? I don't think the Hunger Grows was played from Fields of Longing, if that's what you're wondering. Oh, there's actually like a pretty big board now.
Yeah, I mean this is a big swing. Like Will of the Woods really putting the value in, really putting the power
I like
in
the
there.
modes.
And obviously King's Eye is a great card to buff adjacency in companions, but on its own it doesn't offer any threat.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't do anything.
That's why you can't get the attack animation. It normally have a little red kind of glow above the companion if you can attack. Obviously it can't attack because it has no power. If you used to play a King's Eye next to a King's Eye, then yes, they would both be able to attack because they would have an attack power available to them.
This really like flipped around. I thought this was looking super solid for the Siege Baron.
Yes, I did as well. But remember Siege Baron's ultimate again. So Pine has very limited resources in hand.
Just
only
slam
3
it.
cards. Siege is looking great. The ultimate here, there you go, removes all permanents.
You do that 100% of the time. And now you just play a big boy, right? You can just play like the Hollow Survivor and start swinging next turn. How many cards are in your Ashes? You got 22 cards in the Ashes. You can also just start slamming the secondary to deal 4 damage every single turn. Yeah. I wonder which it's looking like we're gonna try to go for that. No, okay, just building a bit of a wider board. That's fine too. This is a card, by the way, I'm actually surprised we haven't seen so much of. Frontline Overseer. Taunt, Dawn, and Rally. I give all allied companions +1/+1. This card is insanely good because you play one of them, right? And it just gives everything +1/+1. If you have another one in hand, you play that one, everything gets +3/+3. It becomes like it's just got something that like it synergizes so well with itself, and just on its own, it's already a powerful effect. So this is just an all-around very solid card. We haven't seen too much red, I have to say. Like, I think in terms of like gameplay, which is something that actually kind of surprises me, or I guess strategies, the main colors that we have seen are like purple and green. And they have been kind of the main proactive colors. They're the ones that are making the big plays happen. Yeah. And I think red and blue have been more supporting. I guess that's not true. There's the Vanora deck. I guess just red has been very supportive. Red is just being a homie today. Shoutouts to red.
The Frontline Overseer, obviously, people, in chat are asking, yes, it has Taunt. That's the spiked animation around the card. Yeah. It also has Rally, and a Rally is an ability that works as you play cards with the same tribal tag, it will rally. Now, what it means by that is at the bottom, it had SF Leader. So if you played another card as SF, which is Stewards of Fate card, then it would rally. You'd prop that ability again. Same as you played another leader card. There are SF Beasts. There are SF Golems. So they have you see there SF.
Oh, this guy's an avatar
as well. So wow, this game is talk about flip flopping. Wow.
Yeah.
We've gone from a big play of Pine, obviously, then Siege proccing the ult ability to remove the board. Now building a huge board up with that Will of the Woods.
I didn't even know this guy was an avatar. Maybe I should know that. Oh man, let's go Siege Baron.
Wow, there you go. So that's game 1, 1-0 to Siege Baron.
Damn. Let's go. I'm so. You know what I said, like ahead of this tournament? I said that I think a lot of people will show up with their kind of like slow controlling or combo decks. And that what's going to happen is they're going to show up with those. And then there's going to be a few players who are just like, well, I'm going to play aggro instead. And those are the ones that are going to win. And here we are in winners finals. And guess what we got? They're not necessarily hyper aggro, right? They're not like Gyari aggro, but they're still very aggressive decks. And I think that's kind of what's showing here, that these decks are mostly about being aggressive and kind of like utilizing that.
Yeah, I think, and then that's I know you keep mentioning the versatility that Chroma that you were focusing on creating in Chroma, and that what I think versatility opens up is play styles, and that's where the kind of higher tiered players are going to start coming out, is how they mix up their playstyle with their deck. Decks can be ran aggressively, they can be ran more controlling, mainly due to the hero's abilities. Heroes' abilities, I find they don't tie into an archetype. There's not a hero I necessarily go, oh, that's just an aggro hero, I can't play him in any other deck. That's just a control hero, that can only play them in a control deck. There's heroes can be versatile with it, and that's, I think, what we're seeing as this top 8 goes on, is we're seeing people mix up the plays. We saw with Gugu earlier, where they've then got aggressive and took the fight back to their opponent. And it's great to see. It's really nice to see that the versatility is really kind of shining in the tournament.
So just wanted to give a quick shout out to Hippie for winning against Gugu. And that leaves us in losers semis, Hobnob versus Hippie. And, well, we are about to go into game 2 of winners finals, which is exciting. So yeah, but we're not knowing his game. Dude, there's so many cards in this. You can't expect me to know every single subtype for every single card, like at the drop of the head. Alright, like that's just not how that works. Like when you're making something like this, when you're making a game like this, you often kind of like, or at least that's just me, I don't know, maybe other people do it differently, right? But me personally, I kind of like work my way through it. And after I am done working on something, it's very important to me that I'm moving on and I kind of stop thinking about it so that I don't get distracted by the thing that I already spent time on again. All right. And that means that sometimes I will spend a lot of time thinking about certain things and planning them all out for the future. And then I will just forget about them. And then at some point in the future, I will just have to trust that past me thought about this and planned this out. Because like, how else am I gonna do? I designed this whole game by myself. Like, there's nobody. It's just me. It's just me. And there needs to be some sort of like structure to it, because otherwise it just becomes a bit much. But yeah. So anyway. Forgotten here, by the way, very powerful. It's a great way of getting rid of these bloom vagrants because it immediately voids them, and you don't get to like keep the enchantment around or anything like that. Yeah,
because if you used to kill it with a companion and the enchantment stays on the board, it's still going to pop those 2/2s every turn as an enchantment. But yeah, as you said, voiding it is yeets it out of here and says nope.
Yep. Yeah, no, like kind of like a joke I like to make is that like past me, like we should trust past me, not current me. Because I sometimes look at stuff and I'm just like, well, that's kind of strange. Why did I do that? And then I need to just say, you know what? I'm going to just go ahead and trust that past me knew what I was doing there. Although sometimes past me is an idiot, so who really knows? Don't trust yourself. That's what I'm saying here. That's the core takeaway from this. Do not listen to what I'm saying. Pinix Ginger here with this Babu, which just kind of still seems to be like playing this more like board-centered strategy. Yeah, a lot of this comes down to just kind of who manages to get something strong on the board first, right? And like both players are kind of utilizing the most sticky companions they can find, like the things that really last a long time, which is definitely how you want to go about this, but it's also a bit tricky. Something that I haven't seen them do much, which I would maybe advise, is slam some of these guys into the guarded stance. Why is that Will of the Woods not in the guarded stance? You put that guy into the guarded stance, and I don't know if there's any removal left. There probably isn't. Because we just saw 2 Forgotten, right?
Yeah, and for those wondering, that's another unique... I know you mentioned the Act counter being very unique to Chroma. That's another thing that other card games have done similar adaptations of, but the guarded stance, and you can see that they're clearly listening to Bauman by doing that. You can proc a card into a guarded stance, meaning it cannot be targeted by a companion in combat. It can still be targeted from a spot removal card, but it can't be targeted by a card in combat. And then we can see the card coming down to put all of your opponent's cards into guarded stance, and they cannot leave guarded stance on their own. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the Killephant. Really quick, just because that was a tiny little bit suspicious. Pine Exchanger is not stream sniping. This our spectator mode has a 3-minute delay. So unless Pine Exchanger is stream sniping 3 minutes in the future, that's not really working. unless they're stream sniping with like a time machine. In which case, that's fine. I accept it. You may stream snipe if you have a time machine to do it with. Yes, Killephant. One of my favorite cards, actually. So Killephant, my opposing adjacent companions can't leave the guarded stance by themselves. And Dawn, I change all opposing companions into the guarded stance. So it comes down and it screams that everything is in the guarded stance. And these two actually can't leave the guarded stance right now. They are just stuck. Which is kind of a big deal, especially considering that they are enchantment companions, which will die on their own if they don't do anything. Can I tell you the funniest thing about Killephant? So when Killephant comes down, it has this like big like entry animation, right? Where it screams and like, and you've got this like VFX thing, right? I think it's super cool. That was a mistake. Somebody just make here a mistake. This right here is another card that kind of blocks stance changes, and companions can't change stances by themselves. But this guy could have left the guarded stance, but now it can't. Now this one is actually stuck until this King's Eye leaves the story, which is going to be in 4 turns. So this has actually severely reduced the space on the board. And also, this is actually leaving yourself open to another Killephant. If Pine Exchanger has another Killephant, it can force everything into the guarded stance, and now it can't leave the guarded stance anymore because of this King's Eye, leading to a potentially disastrous situation. So anyway, what was I saying? So something I find very funny about Killephant, like when it comes down, it screams. Now, when we first added in that effect, Andy, who does that, is great. Andy is fantastic, right? But Andy made a little mistake and programmed it in such a way that it doesn't play when it comes into play. Instead, it played when it attacked and also when it went into the ashes. So you would play the Killephant, and it would just kind of like do nothing until you attacked, and then it would just scream. And if you discarded it, then it would also just like, it just screams. Every time it dies, it just was screaming. And I thought that was the funniest thing. Because the Killephant, every time it would die, it would just complain about it. I just loved that. So I asked him to keep it in the game.
Nice, yeah. This is a perfect example, actually, of what you were talking about earlier about managing life gates. So, obviously, as we saw previous matchups, Siege Baron's ultimate in Act 3 is remove all companions from the story, and that would be pretty devastating now with that Wheel of Woods building up big. So, Pine will have that in mind, maybe keeping them at 16 life to mean that they can then find lethal next turn. Making go into Act 3 is a kind of get out of jail free card for Benedict. So, that's kind of showcasing what you said earlier, right?
Yeah. This right here, this is still kind of the problem I was talking about, by the way. Right? Like, now the Killephant is dead, but the Bloom Vagrant and the Bluecan still can't change can't change out of the guarded stance.
Yeah.
Making this King's Eye just not very helpful. This was just not a good strategy.
Yeah. Pretty redundant.
So, yeah. Okay.
It's a pretty big board.
It is, but yeah, I mean, Will of the Woods. It's just Will of the Woods comes down and it just cleans house.
I mean, that's the kind of the counter, right, of Siege Baron in terms of they build a big board. If they need to proc their ultimate, then it's going to kill all their companions as well. You could argue that benefits them in some way because it plays into their secondary, which is do 1 damage for every 5 cards in your ashes. But I'm pretty sure that Benedict would not want to just lose this board presence right now. So proccing that ult is something they don't want to do. And also the guarded stance does have a kind of, you can't just toggle freely between it in a turn. If you pop into guarded stance, then you're stuck in guarded stance until the start of your next turn. And then you can pop out of guarded stance the following turn.
All right, Hunger Grows, takes down that big guy.
Opponent's going to move toward the woods.
I mean, there's just this one smaller one left. But there's another Will of the Wood, which is kind of the problem.
Yeah.
All right, that's always a little unfortunate. Now, this is suspicious. Look at how much mana this Babu still has.
Yeah.
I see that, and I think there's some shenanigans coming.
There's something coming, isn't there? There is definitely something coming. Hema, I believe, is Hema 5? Is she 5 ambition to play?
I think so, yeah, 5 ambition.
Yeah.
She's 7 mana, soon to be 8. Sorry, spoilers.
Are you increasing the ambition mana on her, or are you increasing the neutral?
Neutral. I'm gonna make her. I just want her to be a slightly more difficult to play. I think at 7 mana she's just a bit too powerful. But I don't want to make her weaker. I want her to be powerful, so I'm gonna just make her a little bit more expensive.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, she's 2 neutral and 5 ambition.
Nice. So I mean, there will be. I believe they'll have the mana open for that next turn. I can't think what actually turn we're at. What? Oh, no, there you go. Yeah, so they will have the mana open for that next turn if they want to play Hema, which is always an option. And as we know, Hema can be a genuine game changer.
Yeah. I kind of doubt that Pine plays Hema.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not really. It's more of a companion heavy deck, right? Rather than a spell heavy deck. And
not very spell based.
On Hema, you need spells. There's no point running 5 spells in a 40 card deck hoping to get extra value off Hema if you don't find them.
Is there a strong deck that's based around Einar the Illuminator? Yeah, there's a rally deck. We haven't seen it in this tournament, which I actually think people are wrong about that. People don't really like the rally deck too much. A lot of people think it's bad, and I personally think they're wrong. I've
been playing around with Rally recently, actually. I've been trying to get more running with Rally, and it's been fun. It's a nice mid-range. Well, the one I'm playing is more of a kind of mid-range Rally, and it's definitely fun. It can put out a lot of tempo mid-game all of a sudden.
If you think this is a lot of tempo, you have not seen a Rally deck. A Rally deck that gets like a perfect curve will run this shit over. Admittedly, that's asking for like a perfect draw. So that's I mean, with a perfect draw, then everybody can do well. Is this lethal?
I mean, they can't. They have lethal is on the board, right? They need to do something to do with it. But looking at the hand, there is
no, not quite. I don't think. You need to. So that means you have to fight back, right? Because your opponent is looking very likely to kill you.
Heavy hand, heavy heart is pretty certain has to come out. That's gonna deal with Will of the Woods, which is obviously the right target for that one. Stops any other temper coming out later on. The taunt is going to deal with a 7-3 in one of the 7-3s or 6-3s in mid. You'd assume the 6-3 would be swinging into that to control that. So the taunt's going to deal with that one there. But there's still I don't want to say sticky situation for Pine, but Pine needs to weigh up. If they don't go for lethal, obviously there is a lot of power on the opponent's side of the board that they need to deal with. So do they trade companions to control the board a little bit, or do they try and find lethal?
I think that the trades are going to be coming out from the Siege Baron, at least to a certain degree. Yeah. Because like the thing is, like, while yes, the Siege Baron board is way stronger, the Siege Baron also has way less life. This is a big risk. This is a huge risk in that moment to just kind of leave the board like that and hope, because you could go for a kill. You could put Bebu to 10 life, but then you might die.
Yeah, exactly.
Possibly not the best.
I think a big factor as well is knowing that Pine only has 2 more cards in hand, and maybe if they're not running the spells, the spell package, their card draw can be pretty limited. I mean, the Field of Longing does allow them to replay two mana cards from the Ashes, which is strong, but it's not really card draw. It's kind of reanimation, right? And it has a 2 cooldown on it as well. So actual card draw wise, Bibu is going to struggle with that, because we can see that Pine is running a companion heavy deck, not the spell version.
This has always been a bit of a struggle with Bibu. Is that she's great at having a lot of mana, but she's not so great at having a lot of cards. That's why her ultimate might actually come in handy. Draw the rest of your deck.
Yeah. I managed to find lethal with it once with Hema on the board. Pop the rest of my deck to hope that I found a deconstruct, and then I did. So it was it was a nice way of doing it. Obviously, you can only have 10 cards in your hand. So if you have 20 cards in your deck, 10, and so you pull 4 of them, then the remaining 16, I believe, are voided, right? They're not even in your ashes.
Yeah, they just get tossed out of the game. Get out of here.
Yep.
Get out of here.
No pulling them back. I mean, that's another.
That's
chunky,
a lot of stolen from the dark.
Chunky octopus down there. 10, 12 on the board. Only 2 cards and have Pine. This is swinging against Pine all of a sudden. Oh,
so Pine, I think the strategy is gonna be literally just try to somehow make the ultimate work. Because you're just completely out of cards. So I think ideally, this is actually where the act counter is gonna be interesting. Right? Because act counter is at 6 right now. Going into the turn for the Siege Baron, the Siege Baron might want to play in a way that the act counter only goes to 2 at the end of the turn, so that Pine doesn't get a full turn with the ultimate immediately, right? Because if Pine goes into the next turn without ultimate, that's bad. That's just gonna be really bad. Like, I just don't know what you can do in that scenario.
Yeah.
So that means right now a Siege Baron can only play 1 more card.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's gonna be respected here. I would not play another card right now.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. This is one of those tricky things, right? This is a situation very unique to Chroma, right? So, okay, we're gonna play another card. This now puts the act counter to 1. It means at the end of the turn we are going to go into act 3, and that does give Bebu access to her ultimate. She's actually got a lot of mana too.
I was going to say there's a lot of mana floating over as well. So having 10 cards in hand they're going to be able to play a lot of those cards because they're going to have a huge amount of mana.
Yeah. Ton of mana available right now. Ultimate is online. Only 1 card in hand. And you're about to die. If you're ever going to use it, right now is the time. Yeah. And Elephant complains. I'm so glad that's in the game. But yeah, if we have a quick look at the Void here, you can see there's a lot of stuff. Oh, there was actually good Azahima in this deck. Oh, that is so big! Oh my god! That was massive!
We're the Woods as well now. It's going to buff everything up. There's only 2 free pages. These companions cannot leave guard stance on their own. We can see Forgotten on the bottom, which does remove a companion up to 4 health.
It would get rid of the King's Eye. Yeah, oh my. Without this Forgotten, this would probably have been game. Because we have the King's Eye Kilophant combo again. But Forgotten can get rid of this. Making it so that your stuff can leave the guarded stance again. With the one exception of these two. These two are still stuck because of the Kilophant. Which is actually like a matter of like, this is actually something where positioning mattered, because this guy is positioning independent. You can put this guy anywhere you want. So it might have been better to place the Kilophant in this page, or maybe over here, to make it so that even if this guy gets removed, you can still utilize the Kilophant effect to block like a larger chunk of these.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, right, that's the thing. Yeah, sometimes I forget too.
Of course, the ult. So
yeah.
Pine says, "Hey, this is my ult. I'm going to draw the rest of my deck." And Benedict says, "Oh, here's mine. I'm going to clear the board up." And now you have no deck left. You got 5 cards. You better do something with them, otherwise I win by default.
Oh, and there's a 9/12 now.
Oh wow. This Avatar combo is looking very spicy. The fact they have 5 in their hand as well is kind of crazy. And obviously, Siege Baron has access to. So, do they stack in the ashes? If you had 2 in the ashes, do they gain +4/+4?
Yeah. That's why this guy got like +6/+6 total.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, the Siege Baron like also plays cards to duplicate stolen from the ashes. That's why there are so many of them, right? This deck may look like a tempo deck, but it's actually like an Avatar tempo deck. Which I guess sounds very similar, but it's just like a minor, distinction there.
Yeah. I mean, Forgotten can be used to clean up one of the companions, potentially the King's Eye, but I don't know if that's really a threat, to be honest, right now. They're only on 20 health, so they do need to be slightly careful.
I mean, the thing about it is that with what the Siege Baron just has to do now is just clear out these cards. You don't have to be aggressive anymore. There's no need for it. So, like, what I would do is I would just, like, forgotten this guy, which prevents the Dusk effect from triggering. Trade into this one, you know, get rid of that. Use the secondary to clear out one more. So this is a little quirky here because, like, this means that you can actually trigger the Something That's Holy still. But overall, like, the Siege Baron's game plan really can be very different from what it was before now. It doesn't need to be centered around trying to kill anymore. You can just try to survive, because the Babu is gonna die as soon as these cards run out. And I highly doubt this Babu deck plays any sort of, like, recursion, anything like that. You just wouldn't put that in this sort of aggressive list, right? So
no, not in a companion heavy list. And also, remember, people, Siege Baron did take game 1. So if Siege Baron wins this matchup, then it would be, the series would go 2-0 to Siege Baron, and they would move on to this is winners final, right? So we actually have the final next.
Yeah, this is winners finals. Afterwards, we'll kind of depends on what happens in the lower bracket. We don't know about that.
Yep.
Okay.
And with this being double elimination, in the actual final, if the winner of the losers bracket wins in the final, do you play the final again?
Pine. Who spilled all of this spaghetti? Okay. So what just happened? Something That's Holy has a Dusk effect. When a Dusk effect activates when this goes from the story to the ashes. Siege Baron takes it. Damn. Let's go.
Okay.
And what Pine played is Blight Baptism, which says give target companion the next time it will be destroyed, I enter the story again instead. So it's a really nice effect because it kind of allows you to protect something, you know, make sure even if it does die, it just comes back anyway. The problem is it doesn't go into the ashes. It specifically says it doesn't go into the ashes. It says I enter the story again instead, right? It's a replacement effect, meaning it doesn't trigger its Dusk.
Yeah.
And so what was kind of expected to be kind of like a fancy play didn't quite work out that way.
I mean, it was also the only card they had left, right? So they had to play it on something, unfortunately. But I mean, that's the balance of BBU's ult. Drawing your whole card, your whole deck to get your hand from 0 to 10 is extremely strong. However, if you don't find lethal within 2 or 3, maybe 4 turns of using that ultimate ability, you can almost guarantee that you're going to run out of steam and your opponent's going to take the game.
All right, Hobnob versus Hippie.
Do we know what game this is?
No, I have no idea. I would guess it's probably like game 2 or 3 though. Probably game 3. We've got Magnarchitect versus Babu again. Siege Baron is in Grands. Let's go. Like the one Siege Baron player in the entire tournament made it to Grands. Hell yeah.
Nice.
I'm not surprised. Siege Baron is very strong. Very strong.
Yeah, Siege Barons are great. I mean, the discard package in the game is pretty versatile and pretty strong anyway.
Yeah.
And Siege Baron plays into that. And like you said, it creates that, opens up a whole new style of play because you can play cards in your list that you don't actually have the mana for, but they buff the ashes, or they buff the board via the ashes, and you literally have an ability tied to your hero that allows you to get them in the ashes.
Yeah, that's like a really big aspect of Siege Baron. And you can't just kind of, you know, like wheel stuff without needing any help. Honestly, that I feel like that effect would be good even if it just said discard a card.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it really would. Also, Love's Death and Feast is one of my favorite cards in Chroma. It's very fun when you combo with it, if you get the combo rocking with it. So I can evolve only in the ashes, and when they evolve in Act 2, they gain 5/5, taunt, and warded. So they are an 8/9 free drop. They obviously have to evolve in the ashes. There's quite a lot of reanimation in Chroma, so there are ways of pulling them back out and playing around with them, but they are incredibly fun card to play with. I've had a lot of fun with Love's Death and Feasts in the game, and it's interesting to see it being played in this tournament.
So this is game 2. Apparently game 1 was a banger. So it's kind of a shame we didn't get to see that. But from now on, we're going to get to see everything, right? We're going to get to watch this. We're going to get to watch losers finals. And we're going to get to watch grand finals afterwards. Right? Because there's only 4 players left in the tournament, actually. Everybody in the tournament made it into the cash money. Cash money.
Nice. Well, congrats to everyone still surviving, still playing.
Although this is gonna be interesting because like that Siege Baron still being here. I don't know if anybody's prepared for it. I don't know if anybody's prepared for that style. Now, I do want to say that there are definitely tools in the game that just mess up that Siege Baron. I mean, there's a single card called Rest Now, which completely annihilates all like stolen from the dark strategies. And, well, Bebu could play it. Magnarchitect doesn't have access to her, but Magnarchitect still has access to various other tools that would help a lot.
Well, we saw the Hobnob Benedict matchup earlier, didn't we? And Benedict took it 2-0. I don't want to say convincingly because that sounds like it's really mean towards Hobnob, but it was the Siege Baron matchup was definitely beneficial in the Hobnob matchup. Nice. Although Hobnob did have a pretty clunky opening hand and couldn't really get their deck going.
Oh, it seems there's a bit of a desync here. Apparently we are already in Act 3. What?
Oh, there you go.
Okay, I'm a little confused what just happened.
I guess Tech won, so they won 2-0, I assume then.
Yeah, I guess Hobnob wins. Alright, it's Pinex Ginger versus Hobnob. Alright, let's go. I'm excited.
Is this the grand final?
No, this is losers.
Losers final. Okay, so this is losers final. So this is for a spot in the grand final.
Yeah.
Nice. Pinex Ginger is also, well, actually, so if anyone's wondering, it's not open deck lists and people can change decks in between matches. So, for example, we saw Pinex earlier running with the Bibu list. They might be changing that and they might be running something different now. And it isn't open lists either. And there was no submission of deck lists prior to the tournament. So that's why if you see a different deck, don't worry. It's part of the rules.
All right. How not to cheer for Hobnob? No, we're cheering for Hobnob. Wait, I can't do that. I am impartial.
Yeah, I'm cheering for Golems. Am I allowed to do that? Can I cheer for the Golems? Because they're my favorite.
Well, Hobnob is playing Golems, so.
That's what I mean, yeah. So that's me being impartial. Rather than cheering for a player, I'm going to cheer for the Golems.
This is always the scary thing, though. You know, like everybody that's still in the tournament has lost to the Siege Baron deck.
Yeah.
So how are they going to change things up to like be able to make this happen? Although, I do have to say, I did feel like Hobnob got a little scammed. Like, that was that wasn't like those games were not great.
No. But that's again highlights the benefit of sideboarding by the fact that everyone, as you said, everyone still left has lost to Siege Baron, but they've also now got that deck information to think about what they can build in their sideboard between game 1 and 2 if they do face them again.
All right, let's see. I mean, it seems like we're taking a bit of a pause. Just gonna... Nope, still not ready. All right.
So the spectate feature, again, correct me if I'm wrong, Balmy, but it's going to be, it's available to everybody at launch in the game, right? So
this is just anybody can use this.
Yeah. So I know I've had a couple of people asking me about spectating.
I mean, it's pretty good, isn't it? I mean, it's a little buggy, but like I like how quick it is. It just like pops you into the game, done.
Yeah, it's very, very seamless. It's nice.
Yeah. I mean, like, we've got challenge here as well and all of that stuff. You can challenge people to, like, best of 1 or best of 3 if you want. This menu is still a bit finicky. Like, this menu is a bit annoying. You might notice that, like, it keeps disappearing. That's because if you leave this box with your mouse, it actually goes away. We have to still fix that. But, that's like a minor thing. That's not too big a deal. But yeah, mostly, I mean, like, this is all, I mean, of course it's going to be available.
Yeah.
Get started.
I just wanted to highlight that this is like a launch feature. This is in-game. It's no additional dev client that's running or anything like that. This is straight up an in-game client that everyone has access to. There's some very nice loading screens in the.
Oh yeah, I'm just,
showing off.
Got some time to kill anyway, right?
Yeah, no, they're nice. They are nice. The loading screens are great, and I've seen a lot of people actually commenting throughout the stream on the artwork for the game. Maybe people first time seeing it, and the artwork is great. It's what's nice about it as well is the alternative art, like the Blind Void or Void Blind, the artist.
Blind Void.
Right. Yeah, that artwork in the game, that alternate art in the game is
this guy.
Personally, my favorite. It's really really cool. So you can see just it's slightly kind of more, for lack of a better term, edgy and dark. I'm a big fan of it.
I think it's like inspired by what's it called, Darkest Dungeon. Oh, I like this one. I gotta equip this. I already have like a bunch of these equipped. It's just kind of the alternate outro guy I like the most. I cheated. I just gave myself a lot of money and I just keep buying things.
I mean, you did create the game, so I don't know if it's cheating. You're kind of entitled to have your own assets, I feel.
Yeah, here's the Kickstarter rewards we still have to give out. But like we made these like fancy full art for all of the like main legendaries. So there's like this Eon, this Gradaza, Einar, and this is the big one I think that people are excited about. Like the big fancy Gradaza.
Nice. Yeah, that's very cool. And is that going to be available in the store in the game, or is that
no? These four I just showed are only available like for Kickstarter people.
Nice. That's really nice.
This is not going to be available in the store. All right, we're loading in. Nice. This, by the way, is one of my favorites. All right, got a minute and a half to kill. Can you showcase your favorite deck? I don't really have a favorite deck. I like to experiment a lot. Like, but also, so when I play these games, what I like to do is I have one of two modes. I either have meme mode or competitive. So like what I will do is I will often just kind of like have a bit of where I like build a deck where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this deck really strong and like play and win. And then eventually I reach a point where I'm like, all right, I've won enough. Let me put some nonsense.
Is that where Rest Now Fiasco came from? That's the meme side.
That's where I started doing Rest Now Fiasco. No, I started playing Rest Now Fiasco. So Rest Now Fiasco. Okay. Wait. Maybe I have. No. We're starting in half a minute, so I don't really want to do it now. But maybe I can show it off later. But Rest Now Fiasco is just kind of like a funny thing you can do that, like deletes both players' hands essentially. Like then both players just don't have any cards in hand anymore. And I started doing that, like leading up to the tournament. I started queuing just into matchmaking with a deck that was just built around doing Rest Now Fiasco. And I was doing that because I wanted to kind of like push people away from playing only combo decks. Because if you're in an environment where everybody's playing combo decks, well then a good strategy might be to play a combo deck.
Yeah.
Right? And I just kind of wanted, oh my god, Gyari coming out. That is whoo.
So Gyari is often known for being more of an aggressive leader. I did actually play I played against a really nice Gyari deck the other day that was not aggressive, and it was
Gyari is hyper aggro.
But yeah, you can be hyper aggro.
Oh my god. Misses turn one, that's rush. That's rough. You can't do that. So Gyari coming out is really interesting for like a few reasons. First of all, Gyari is very hit or miss, right? Gyari has fast games and tries to close them out very quickly. And it just kind of depends a lot on just dealing as much damage as possible. But Gyari isn't so good at fighting over the board. Now, one of the things about playing against like Magnarchitect and Magnarchitect golems in general is that fighting over the board is hard. It's just really hard, right? It's just something that is difficult to do against Magnarchitect. So I wonder if like maybe the strategy here is to just say, I'm just not gonna bother, right? I'm just not gonna fight over the board. I'm just gonna go and try to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
Although this is a very different deck from what I'm used to. I would never play Very Mixed Soldiers. So Very Mixed Soldiers is a slower card. It puts down a marking that lets you buff your companions in this if you play companions that share subtype. I have not seen a Gyari kind of tribal deck.
So this is more like the one I played the other day. I queued into someone the other day in the casual queue, and yeah, they were using Rally in their Gyari deck, and it was a lot more mid range, and they had a lot of sustain in their mid game, and it really threw me because before that, every Gyari list I played had been hyper aggressive, and I was actually playing a very similar list to what Hobnob is playing now with the golems, and I struggled. I did genuinely struggle. Oh, the Blossom coming down.
We haven't seen the flower at all. I'm kind of sad we haven't, although it's not going to do that well here. It's going to be.
Well, no, it's. I mean, was it a misplay? I don't know if it was a misplay.
Yeah, that was a terrible play.
They can't target the warded because it's targeting with ability. The damage has to be lower than that of Corpse Blossoms, so they can't target the other golem. They should have played it probably anywhere between page 2 and page 4 as we're looking at the board.
The only thing,
the 1/1.
Only thing this thing could have targeted is this guy.
Yeah, the 1/1. Yeah.
Yeah, this was just bad.
Gyari getting played under. This is what's going on here. I mean, but this is what we were saying earlier about the golem list is it has that real kind of versatility to it where you can play very fast with these little mini tokens that come out and they don't like 1/1s don't seem like much on the board or 1/2s, but you add them up over 4 or 5 turns and they really start putting out some damage. You add to it the fact as well as if you remove those, then you're taking 1 chip damage as well from every time one of them enters the ashes. So yeah, it's nice to see Hobnob being aggressive here, as we couldn't see that earlier in that matchup against Benedict.
Yeah, all right, gonna go ahead and jump up that guy. So maybe you should explain Corpse Blossom really quick. So this is a companion that has an ability that says, I imprison one of my target adjacent companions with less attack than me. At the start of your next turn, I void the imprisoned companion and gain +2/+2. So it eats a guy.
Yeah,
it's just like eats a guy.
It can get pretty big, obviously, and every time it eats,
this
it opens up more
Beast
potential
Rally?
to eat.
That is so strange. I've never seen this.
So this isn't, like I said, this is not a direct comparison to the one I played, but this was more similar to it, and it worked well. It did work well, actually.
Hey, Sora66 Sora, thank you very much. That is amazing. I love this. Look at this. So this right here, this is a companion that says Rally, use your primary hero ability. Rally activates after an allied companion sharing a subtype enters the story. So this guy is a Beast, Steward of Fate. Steward of Fate probably not really going to matter here, but the Beast part does. So this deck is centered around playing Beasts and then rallying the Beasts with the Standard Bearer to shoot the primary, to use this right here to buff up one of your companions. Because, I mean, this guy is a beast. This guy is a beast. This is genuinely Beast Rally. I've never seen this deck, but this is very cool. I'm really glad. I mean, honestly, from my perspective, nothing could be better than somebody busting out a deck I've never seen and they're like, what is this? Like, losers finals. Damn, that's pretty late in the tournament.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting. It is very interesting, and as you said, that the Corpse Blossom is going to be buffed up next turn, so it'll be a 5/3. So it doesn't have tons of health, but it will be able to eat. Actually, it won't be able to eat anything adjacent to it because the 6 obviously has more attack than it, and then the Golem is warded, so it can't be targeted with spells. But that's the Golem's going to deal with that and say, "Nah, get out of here, Corpse Blossom. I don't want you here anymore."
All right, gonna clear the board. I think that's smart. I don't think you want to mess around with this.
Yeah. Also, Pine is getting lower on resources. The only 4 in hand at the moment.
Yeah, 4 cards is still quite a bit, though.
Yeah, it is at the moment, yeah.
Okay, there's going to be another Killer Fund. So, what I was about to say is, like, I wonder if we're going to see, like, a Ready to Vanguard.
Because Killer Fund's also a beast, right?
Yeah. Well, Killer Fund is a beast, yeah. But, I mean, you could play Ready to Vanguard to kind of, like, rally with itself because you get free companion that each are the same subtypes. This guy's not a beast, though. This guy's an Eric, right? Yeah, this guy's an Eric. He looks a bit beasty, but he's not a beast.
Gonna give himself the buff as well.
Okay. This is kind of a bit sketch because it's just leaving this Killer Fund out there. I know this may look like this guy can't attack, but Killifant only prevents these pages in front of it from switching. So this guy can't just switch out of guard stance and kill this. Just go and kill it. It's not a problem.
Which is surely you would have switched out guard stance. You would have swung first and then played the golem, because if I'm correct in thinking that their rally is to heal themselves, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, it doesn't really matter. The guy dies anyway, right? Because it's 4 attack.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I guess you can do that. So you can get the Giari down to 3 life right now, which should be pretty safe. You get a point of blighting as well. Yeah, you'll be fine. So we're in Act 3. Giari's ultimate isn't super swingy. It's just deal 5 damage, which I know doesn't sound that exciting. But trust me, dealing 5 damage is pretty good.
Yeah, especially when you're playing more of an aggressive list. You're playing a fast list and it gets to turn 5, 6, and your opponent starts building a board, starts building, like, your resources are probably pretty low in terms of cards in hand. That 5 damage can be huge at finding lethal.
Yeah, for sure. That's... Okay, good. There's another one of these. This is like the main strategy here, I think. It's actually kind of fun. You can use the Giari secondary, which increases the attack of all of your companions by 1 to trigger like the Corpse Blossom. But this doesn't matter, right? Easy kill. I like that deck. It's really interesting, although it didn't do that well.
It's nice when someone tries to bring something new to a table. And yeah, it's... I
think that... Sorry.
No, I was going to say it's. I can see what they're going for, and the tempo ramp they could get mid game could be pretty strong. But I feel like the exhaustion on card draw comes back to bite them if they don't find. It's one of those decks, right? It's a combo deck, but if you don't find your cards and you don't get your combos off, it ends up being an average mid range deck.
Yeah, I also think there's kind of. So it's a bit interesting to see like Pine switch to this list now, right? But I don't know if we just got to see what the deck is really supposed to do, because that was a bad start. I mean, I imagine even with this deck, you want to be able to play something turn 1 with Giari. Right?
Yeah, well, we saw they had Scholar Foes Hatchling, right? They ended up playing that.
Yeah, but that wasn't on turn 1, right? Turn 1 was just
that's what I mean, yeah. So we know they've got the cheap cards like in the deck. They obviously just were unlucky in not finding them. That's a good question. Has anyone played Quill this tourney? I didn't see Quill. I only saw part of the stream yesterday. Oh, they have?
Yeah, there was somebody played Quill. And
Quill blows my mind. I can't get my head around Quill as a hero. I really can't.
It's okay. Don't bother. Don't bother.
It's just wow. It's crazy.
Just don't. It's okay. Nobody needs to understand how Quill works.
Yeah, Quill and Where's Many Minds is that they're your end game targets. They're your get a grip of Chroma, then maybe come to them 150 hours into the game, because they are like S tier thinking standards.
They're the kind of heroes that are really designed to be played after you're very, very familiar with the game. And at this stage, none of us are that familiar with the game, because there's just not quite enough time for that yet, right?
Yeah.
So
I feel like they're both heroes that someone will come into the game and think very curveball, and someone will create a list and it will just be insane. I feel like they're the kind of heroes, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but when I say they're there to be broken, but they are the heroes that have the potential to be completely opened up.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be a little while until people find that, but I look forward to it. I look forward to when I see that kind of list come out and it's like, oh wow, how did they even create this?
This is looking a bit. So this is not what you want as Giari right here, where it's just been very mana inefficient turns, right? Turn 2, 1 mana was left open. Turn 3, 1 mana was left open. This is not something that I have talked too much about in regards to the other characters and the other heroes. Because, you know, if you're playing Siege Baron, you leave a mana open, whatever. But Giari is a bit different. Giari, you really need to... You want there to be like a perfect curve as much as possible.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's not happening, that's a bit unfortunate. All right, we've got Fields of Longing. This is a very powerful card. It has an ability that says, play a card with a mana cost of 2 or less from your ashes for free. After a permanent adjacent to Fields of Longing is destroyed, its controller discards the top 2 cards of their deck. So the main thing that people use this for is to kind of like utilize these like cheaper cards from your ashes over and over again. It's really powerful. Like, I mean, we just saw it there bringing back the King's Eye. I find it interesting. I personally would have probably brought back the Skull of Us Hatchling. I know the King's Eye pushes more damage right now, and maybe you really, like maybe Pine really wanted to get into Act 2. That's fair if that's the case, right? But the problem with the King's Eye is that you just don't have anything like this now, right? Like this is just not doing that much. So
and if you're not finding anything with Bolt, then you're losing a turn of the enchantment, right? That with that power buff, so the summoning sickness is going to kind of come back to bite you a little bit, and it's I do agree with you there. I mean, I'm quite surprised he feels along in. I understand the replaying the two drops from your ashes, which is great and all, but I feel like it's still quite a slow card in this list. I understand why it's there, but slow. I do feel like it's a slow card in this list.
But I think it's actually kind of needed. Like, so if you like Fields of Longing costs 4 mana, right? And you get to use the effect 3 times over its lifespan. Which, if you always use it for a 2 mana card, you're effectively getting 6 mana worth of value out of it. Oh, that's nice. I guess that lets you attack with it. All right, there you go. And this is the kind of stuff that you have to do here, right? You need to make sure that you're getting as close to perfect value as possible.
Yeah.
From every single interaction. Aggro decks in these types of games, they always need to get the most possible value out of every tiny interaction. It's actually something that, like, I think a lot of people think aggro decks are easy to play because, you know, you just kind of attack face a lot. But I think that's a big misconception.
It is definitely, yeah.
These kind of, like, aggro decks are all about optimizing your resources as much as possible. And that can be incredibly difficult.
Yeah. Aggro decks are not, like you said, they're not easy to play. Everyone makes a joke, red deck wins and you swing at face. But yeah, like you said, adapting with an aggro deck is probably some of the hardest decks to adapt with because your resources, your outs and your answers are a lot less compared to, say, a control list where you normally have a lot more answers. And
that is so much damage.
We've got a lot of plating as well.
That's not lethal, is it?
Oh, this is a lovely combo staying up here now. Yeah. 21 off the top there, so...
Yeah, King's Eye and Killofant is brutal here.
Yeah, we have lethal here now, don't we? No, we don't.
Not right now, but next turn. Next turn for sure.
Even with Hero's ult, right? So even if the board Hero's ult is going to, as in Giari's ult, is 5 damage. So
it's 5 damage. So I guess if you try to play the 2 Knife Made Vice, like for survivability, that might keep you alive for a turn. And then the Tireless Automaton might be able to like clean out the board for you. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, try and get some survivability on, right? But Giari still he has that one plating as well, and there's not really a big board threatening them. So it's a long road back, I say, at the moment for Hobnob in this match, or in this game, sorry. Yeah,
this is just not even going to be enough, right? Those 2 are still going to be able to get through the plating easily, and then the ultimate finishes it. Yeah. So that's going to be game 2. Look at that, Giari coming through. Yeah, that is such a powerful combo against these like companion-based strategies. To play the King's Eye, which prevents switching of the stance, and then the Killofant, which switches everything in the guarded stance. Usually you use the guarded stance defensively, right? It allows you to make it so that you can keep something alive. We had a game yesterday where Nail had an it that waits in the guarded stance for like 10 turns, and it was just sitting there, and the enemy Venora just didn't have a way of killing it because it couldn't, like, she couldn't attack it. But it doesn't quite work. It doesn't always have to work that way, right? Because the aggro decks, they don't necessarily want to even be in the guard stance. They're happy to be in the combat stance. And so something like Killofin forcing them into it, and then the King's Eye keeping them in it, really effectively just makes it so those companions are, first of all, useless, and secondly, they're just taking up a space on your board. Right, you're just blocking board space.
Which potentially you can argue is, especially in a companion-based deck, is even stronger than just removing them, because they're redundant on the board, so it plays around positioning. So you're almost manipulating your opponent as to where they've got to play their companions. And yeah, it worked out very well there for Pine. So it's interesting to see now how this final matchup will go. It's Forgotten could be pretty strong here. We know Pine's playing some cheap, powerful cards, so Forgotten could be a strong, as with Starving Steel. Sorry.
All right, Son of Driven comes out and just pushes 4 damage.
I feel like that's going to be the tactic this game. Now it's a case of who can play under their opponent the fastest. Really, it's seen what they've both tried to do the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Let's see if Gyari's got an early answer to try and deal with it.
So something I'm really proud of with Chroma is I feel like we've managed to create a game where it feels like every single moment has a decision, right? And this is like one of those where Gyari played Where We Make Soldiers. Which page do you mark? Yeah. Right? Just kind of like ask yourself that, like when you're watching here. What Pine did is mark this page in the corner. Why? And would you maybe mark a different one? Does it vary depending on what cards you have in your hand? Does it vary depending on what cards are on the board? Does it vary depending on what opponent you're playing against? That is something that you need to keep in mind. And I think it's just something that's like really important to always remember here. So this is going to be a bit tricky because the Hunger Grows can kill the plant, and then this guy comes back into the story but triggers the Dawn, which can then give +2 attack again, which allows a trade over here. I don't know how good I feel about using it that way.
I mean, so Where We Make Soldiers, I feel like I would actually not played it in page 1, mainly because Killofin, we know that's a card in the deck. So opening up not like a wide page would mean that if you have to play Killofin there, you want to get Killofin big there to lock, then you're effectively losing a page ability on Killofin. That's the only reason why I would have maybe played Where We Make Soldiers in between page 2 and page 6.
Yeah. There we go. Nice trade. That was a very, very pretty play. Very smooth. Yeah. Chaining this Where We Make Soldiers to get the buffs that are needed. And having a really strong control over the board here. Right? Just very comfortable control over the board.
Hobnob's Hand as well is very nice. Skin of the Teeth is obviously removal if they need it. Deconstruct is pretty much removal because Ginger's running a lot of cheaper or lower health companions. Obviously the Hand that grows is strong as well. There's a lot of control in the hand. It's going to be a tough game for. So that the buff coming down there on the flag bearers, I believe that's what they're called.
Standard bearer.
Standard bearer, there you go. So it's again though we're seeing now Pine is really running low on resources in their hand, and this a nice thing about the Magnite effect is the creating the toy golems. You're almost saving a resource in your hand to create a resource on the board through the ability, and funny enough, all those resources that you create through your abilities end up playing into either your ultimate ability and your secondary ability. It's just a nice, very cohesive hero that has synergy almost everywhere, whether it be in Ashes, in story, in hand. It's great.
Yeah, Magnarchitect is really powerful. This is gonna be harsh here. It's just so the Fields of Longing being in play does help a lot. But I just don't know if this Giari deck really plays much in terms of bouncing back into the game. Right? It feels like this is the kind of deck that is just trying to gain control and stay in control.
Yeah.
And if it works, then it's obviously very powerful. We saw that in game 2, right? In game 2, I mean, it just absolutely ran over Hobnob here. Yep. But if you don't get it, ooh, well, that becomes a bit awkward, doesn't it?
Yeah. Which certainly does. The so the spell play then, it doesn't actually the knife made wise. So the text on it is give a target companion one plating, and I may attack an additional time of turn. That doesn't give bolt. It doesn't give the keyword bolt. So if you have summoning sickness, you play that on there. You don't get to attack one time that turn rather than 2. It's not bolt. So yeah, but they could attack that time anyway because the ability from the card anyway gave it bolt.
Very good. Just using prey to get rid of the fields of longing. And then probably, I mean, I personally would just go for by the skin of my teeth. This is a very nice setup for it. You can take a bit of a slower approach here if you want. Just kind of leaving more damage on the board.
Yeah.
This is, okay. Yeah, this is kind of what's gonna, I think the game is over. Here's the thing. If you're in this situation as Giari and you trade, that's not a good look.
No, yeah, that's exactly it, right? So,
oh, I guess there was another card in hand that we didn't see. Yeah, there's a bit of a quirk with the replays, but that should be the not replays with the spectator mode, but that should be the actual last card in hand.
Yeah, playing the Killifant there though with nothing to actually play on it is not bad, but it doesn't feel great, right? You're not locking anything into defense because if a card is taunted, or if it has taunt, if it goes into defense stance, it loses taunt. You can't have, or as far as I know, you can't have a defensive taunt card in the game.
No. If something's in a guarded stance, then like it can't be in a guard stance and also have taunt at the same time.
It'd be a little bit mean.
So this right here, we got the health-based Birdsong. We haven't seen Birdsong. Birdsong puts down 2 markings that are either plus attack or plus health. So we're gonna see the plus health ones here, which is just a bit more defensive.
You can roll again, right? You can pay mana to roll again to try and get a different roll on it.
So Birdsong it gives you like when you use it, you are presented with the choice of like, do you want to place either like, it's random. I'm having a hard time explaining this, so I'll just read it out. Flip a coin. If it's head, mark 2 target ally pages with companion enter this page, gain plus health. If it's tails, mark 2 target ally pages with companions that enter this page, gain plus 2 attack. And you may also pay 1 neutral instead to flip the coin again. So it is random, but you can pay a little bit extra to, manipulate the randomness a little bit. That make sure that it's all in your favor, that we're all happy about it. This is, by the way, Wandering Workshop. You may play golems from your ashes. This is one of those big, like, re-establish yourself cards. Like, this is the kind of thing that the Magnarchitect golems can use to just come back into a match with a massive amount of, like, resources all of a sudden. A whole board just coming out of the ashes like that is very, very dangerous. And it's looking like that might be it here.
I mean, yeah, I'd say the same, especially when you have where we make soldiers on the board, which is obviously a card that 2/2 on rally. A lot of golems in the deck. Playing golems from your ashes as well is, it gets very, very strong and very big very quick.
Still gonna actually get this down to like 10 life.
It's a good effort. It's a pretty solid effort.
Yeah. I can see this Giari deck. Like, I think this Giari deck is just a super all-in. Look, if it works, I win in like 5 turns. If it doesn't work, well, I guess I lose. There's no coming back. It's just a very aggressive all-in strategy.
Yeah.
All right.
No, nicely done. Nicely done. So that's going to take Hobnob to the final, right? To the grand.
That's going to be grand finals. We're going to do proper grand finals here, so that means we've got Gyando or Benedict with the winner's side advantage. If Benedict wins the first best of 3, then Benedict wins the tournament. But if Hobnob wins the first best of 3, then we're going to go into a second best of 3, at which point whoever wins that one wins the tournament. And that's pretty much it. So let's see how that goes. I would like to take just a tiny bit of a break first, though, because I want to get a banana. Hello, I have gotten a banana. All right then. So, who is going to take it? Is it going to be Hobnob, the people's champ, or Benedict, the newcomer coming out of nowhere and playing an unconventional hero? One of the, I mean, the only Siege Baron I saw all tournament, and just absolutely nailing it. Banana. So, oh, here's a clip from earlier here.
That's it. They're out of everything now.
Wait, how much
What's this?
how much damage do you have though? You have 18 damage a turn. And you die in what? 4 turns. Oh my god. Oh no.
Okay,
That was a
this-
good
this
moment.
thing is twice again now. This is literally to the wire. This is insanely close.
Who loses? No, that's no. No,
Well, you
it's
are
not.
bananaing, actually enlightening you about water. Chat and I had a nice conversation about water.
So we found out, well, by we I mean me. So today we were taking a walk because it's really snowy, and we were talking about snow and ice and salt. And it turns out that technically ice is not melted by salt. Salt just prevents water from refreezing once it melts on its own. If you just, it basically just melts it. Like, it speeds up the process by not letting it refreeze. So, yeah, it fits.
What are you talking about?
Science! Science!
I really thought you were gonna make a much more concise point than that, and not suddenly start rambling about salt and ice.
What? I don't have a concise point.
Why are you here then?
Because I have knowledge for you.
Oh, your knowledge is salt and ice.
Yeah,
Okay, that's good knowledge, but
thanks.
I guess there you go.
Make a salt card. I already have a salt husband. I don't need a salt card.
Okay, that's very good. So, chat, we gotta decide, who do we want to spectate? Do we want to spectate Benedict or Hobnob? Which one are we going with? I assume neither of them will change decks. Hobnob? Alright, everybody's saying Hobnob.
Yeah, I say Hobnob actually, because I'd like to see if Hobnob. We saw last time Hobnob didn't get the opening draw that they would have optimally wanted against the Siege Brand deck. So it'd be nice to see if they get that list or that draw to put pressure on early.
Yeah, we're gonna see how this goes. I mean, oh, player's not playing game. All right. So I as I said already, I don't really expect either players to switch deck. Both of them played the same deck for the entire tournament. So I feel like at this stage, you know, if you made it this far into the tournament without switching decks, you didn't just kind of stick to it, right?
Yep.
At least that would be me. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. Last moment tiny switch. Hell yeah, let's go. Let's do that again. It's just last moment switch to like a wacky hero.
Can imagine that throw right curveball in there.
Are there going to be cards that benefit from your deck to be of a single color, like no duplicates thing in Hearthstone? Well, I don't really want to answer questions about are there ever going to be cards that do this, because I feel like no matter which answer I give, it's going to inevitably be wrong. But right now that doesn't exist. So we haven't really seen too much monocolored stuff. But that's really because the game isn't really meant to be played monocolored. You can if you want, and it's just going to be a bit easier that way. And there's definitely some strong decks that can do it. I mean, I can just, like, I have, like, if I go into a single player here really quick, I have this mono red tempo deck here. And you can do something like that. But generally speaking, the game is really kind of, I think, at its best and at its most interesting when you know, like, have multiple colors in your deck and you experiment a bit with it. So, that's kind of like how I view it. And I think it's kind of fine to just leave it at that. Oh, there's a Child of the Flame again. Oh, I like this bot just kind of debuffing their own side of the board. Very, very smart. That's the kind of energy I like to see here.
It's intimidation. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very intimidated. Oh, I needed to attack. See, I'm terrible at this game. I don't even attack when I need to. Okay. Alright. So here's just kind of like some of the stuff that mono red can do. One of the big ones here is the Paterfamilias.
Yeah.
Because you play this and all of a sudden your board kind of looks like that a little bit. You know, there's like a lot of value to these sort of strategies. Which one do we want to play here? I mean, it doesn't really matter. Whichever I play is kind of game over. As you can see. So this is mono red. And you know, like while it's not as complicated as some of the other strategies, that doesn't mean it's weak. Also, something that I kind of did is if you like heavily lean into a single color, there's usually like one or two cards that require a lot of like a specific color, a lot of mana from a specific color. So you kind of get to play those. So with red, you have access to Sentinel Sharper Teeth, which is just really, really strong.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway. Let's get into it, shall we?
Grand finals. So if Hobnob does take this match, then there's an additional match to play, right? Because they came from the loser bracket.
Yes, exactly. We're going to play. We're going to have like one best of 3 right now, and if Benedict wins that with the Siege Baron, then the tournament is over, and Benedict is going to be first. And if Hobnob wins this, then we're going into another best of 3. So we'll see how that works out. This is already looking like not the best. I don't know, maybe you keep that. I wonder if you keep this hand. Because you have where we make soldiers. And I feel like against the Siege Baron like is very good at kind of like getting a lot of tempo on the board.
Yeah.
And where we make soldiers lets you make your tempo stronger. Right? It's not necessarily that you get more tempo, but the tempo you have is just more powerful, which gives you a lot of value over like the course of the game. And it is very kind of like companion heavy sort of matchup that I think you can expect here. That might be the right way to go.
Yeah, and where we make soldiers, playing at where we make soldiers obviously early is more of a free play in terms of you're not contesting with a board, you're not trying to control the board state. And we see Wandering Workshop as well, as you pointed out earlier, can't play it until turn 6 because the Insight mana is locked until that point with Hobnob's deck. Yeah, but if where we make soldiers on the board and there's golems in the ashes, that Wandering Workshop can put out insane amounts of tempo very easily on anything that's on that where we made soldiers.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of the small problem here, right? Is that Wandering Workshop, while it looks like a 2-mana card, it's really a 6-mana card. It's even worse than that. It's like a turn 6 card, right? And that means this might end up Like this hand isn't as fast as it may initially look, despite its low mana costs.
Yeah.
Right? Even where we make soldiers doesn't have an immediate effect. The knife made wise doesn't really do anything.
Yeah. I mean, you never really want Wandering Workshop as a turn 2 play, really, because you're not getting the value of it. You don't have golems in the ashes really on turn 2 anyway to utilize out. So having it slightly later is good, but like I said, turn 6 is potentially, I don't want to say too late, but it's potentially a little bit further on than when they would like to play it.
So, it seems like Benedict gonna take it a bit slower here. Song for Dancing, just kind of looking for some good cards. And, okay. Seems this is where we're really starting the fight for the board. Oh, that is big Batnage. So Batnage is one of the really big payoff cards for Siege Baron. It allows you to kind of like discard it, and then after you discard it, you get the guy anyway. It comes back a little bit weaker as only a 4/2. But the thing is, it's free. And that makes it a lot nicer. So you can get a lot of value from just having this Batnage in play as this like nice bonus creature. And it hits pretty hard. So you can see there's a lot of tempo on the board. But now I think we can really expect this where we make soldiers, so we can start tempoing back. Right? We can even see where we make soldiers here, maybe a knife made vice on this guy, summon this, we get a 3/3 that can attack twice and has a point of plating. Or we don't, I guess not. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, we have the 2 neutral mana opened up as well now through the Act 2 counter proccing. So they did have access to the 2 additional mana there for Hobnob.
10,852 wish lists. Somebody just asked in chat, so I have to check really quick. 15k, come on guys! We can get there. Go wishlist Chroma on Steam. 15k, that's what we're aiming for.
Well, that's an increase of like 2,000 in 10 days.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's really good. Really good progress.
Yeah, no, go wishlist Chroma. Go wishlist Chroma. We want to get there. We want to get like the 15k, the 20k, the 100k. All right, maybe not that much.
I believe 15k is the goal. That if the game has 15k by the day of launch, it will feature in the top 5 games released in that week based on wish lists. So yeah, and featuring in the top 5 is huge.
Yeah, so let's go 15k, right? That's what we're aiming for.
That's the aim, 15k.
All right,
11
guys.
days to launch.
Tell all of your friends, tell all of your pets, tell all of your family. You need to wish list the game. The game. All right, there's a pretty strong board here. I am really surprised that Hobnob took such a long time to actually get this where we make soldiers down. I feel like that was something worth prioritizing here. Just because you can really utilize it over and over again to like slowly build up tempo. It's the same thing that Benedict is doing, right? It's like a very similar strategy. Benedict isn't using where we make soldiers, which is what most people have been using. Benedict is using Stolen from the Dark, which is also a great way for building up some additional tempo, making your companions a bit bigger. But of course, I think Stolen from the Dark is just a lot harder to use for most decks, so it's something that, a bit more exclusive to Siege Baron here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just a little surprised to see so little emphasis being placed on getting this value from where we make soldiers. But you know what? Now we're starting to ramp that up. We're starting to get big guys on the board. And maybe we're just kind of waiting for a big turn with Wandering Workshop, right? The more you can squeeze in these primaries, like the more you use that fills up your ashes with all of these tiny bots that you can play later. And then you play Wandering Workshop, and then you can have a huge rally turn.
Yeah, you really can, especially with even something like Big Bot as well. You're going into Act 3. Big Bot just being a 6/6 on its own is huge. But yeah, you can get a lot of tempo on the board. Sorry, slight tangent. Wispy asked, how do you see the most popular wish lists? Unfortunately, wish list data isn't public. What you have to do is you have to go to Steam chart and you have to work out a ratio based on followers. It's around about a 15 to 20%. So times it by 5, basically, their followers, times by 5 to 6. And that's how you work out roughly what a game's wish lists are.
Yeah, so it's mostly an estimate here, but it is,
yeah,
it's an educated guess.
Yeah, it's what I've worked on for the last 2-3 years, and it's always been pretty much spot on around that there.
This is, I think this is what the kids call bad.
Yes. Yeah, Siege Baron's kind of gone, here you go. You ramp all you want. But then, as again, pointing out, that Wandering Workshop, it does open up a big library of golems. And they're all pretty cheap because, well, so they're cheap, but Wandering Workshop only being a 2 mana card itself means you have a lot of access to them.
Okay.
And Siege Baron doesn't have ton, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of companions on the board, but they're not intimidating in terms of their health. They're relatively, I don't want to say simple to remove, but they easier to remove.
All right, so there's gonna be like the Wandering Workshop. It will go ahead and help clear this stuff out a bit. There was actually a mistake there. I would assume that you want to put this Wandering Workshop into the guarded stance, right? Because it doesn't fight well. It's a 1 and 5. It's not gonna.
It's an auto guarded stance card, right?
Yeah, it's just gonna die to anything, and it won't even like really do anything in return. But King's Eye came out ahead of time, and now it can't switch the stance anymore, right? That's King's Eye blocking the stance swaps. It does block it for both players, right? That's kind of the tricky part. That's where you have to be careful. And yeah, so the what's it called? The Wandering Workshop kind of having a bit of a hard time.
Yeah, like you said, it is a card that you should be looking to guard stance straight away. I mean, they deal with it anyway there, but you reduce the options. So by going guard stance, you force your opponent into having to play a spell on it rather than playing companion. And we can see now another Weird of the Woods coming down, and that is a lot of damage again. I mean, that's a big elephant over there. Or is it, sorry, octopus?
Kraken thing. I don't know. Something. I don't question these things. Yeah. This is a real shame because like I feel like if this Wandering Workshop would have survived, you could have really like kept continuously rallying with it.
Yeah.
And well, now that's just not going to be possible. Lots of bolt bots though, so getting a little bit lucky with those for sure. Alright, good trade there. We're going to play the second Knife Made Wise, but it's just the Hobnob is running so low in resources here. That's what really worries me. And if it comes to like a resource race, well, you're going to lose against Siege Baron. That's what he does.
At the moment, they had the one plating. I assume the damage we're going to do here as well, put them straight down onto the 15 life counter.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, actually, they'll put them down again. It'll put them down to 8 health. Now, that is Big Bot lethal.
That is Big Bot lethal.
Yeah, so they do have lethal. They're on a 2-turn timer, and that one plating is...
oh, there's the trade.
Pretty big.
Yeah, that's... I think actually what you were saying was right. You just go for the Big Bot lethal there, right?
Yeah,
you hit twice, it wastes no damage.
And then you drop the lethal next to King's Eye. Because, I mean, are they going to... I mean, maybe they trade into King's Eye, so maybe they remove the King's Eye and that there, but I still think that you put the pressure on. But I may be wrong.
Yeah, there's another King's Eye. In case you're wondering why these two cards have different artwork, that's because, well, Hobnob went and got herself some nice artwork. Available in the store. Go buy it. Give me money. Else we're gonna have to shut the game down. You wouldn't want that, and I will blame you personally. I'm not joking. Anyway, this is not lethal. The question is, well, I think Benedict just goes for it, right? I think you just go for it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is again. This is by no means me criticizing Hobnob's play, but I think by going face, what you do is you can't deal with the board presence anyway. So,
that was so
going
spaghetti.
face, you put the pressure on.
That was so spaghetti. That was terrible. Okay, so Benedict tried to not go into Act 3 by not breaking the second barrier.
Yeah.
Forgot that the Act counter was at 0. And he was just gonna go to Act 3 anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's no line of lethal here at all anyway, because there's no Crag Warden, right, in there?
No, there's really not much in there. It's just mostly the smaller bots.
Yeah, so it's a 6/6. It comes down at it swings through 8/8 with the King's Eye. So I think they would have had lethal if they'd have swung last turn.
Yes,
it would have been lethal this turn with Big Bot.
Yeah, the Big Bot play would have won the game. Pretty sure about that too. I mean, you can kind of like clear something, bring back the Big Bot, and clear another thing. Oh wait, that's not a tireless automaton. That's just an searching automaton. What kind of? No, this is a tireless automaton. Okay.
I mean, they took both probably.
Yeah, they took both. Yeah, well, this is still lethal on the board. All right then. Well, that's gonna be game 1.
It is. Yeah, it is gonna be. That's it. So. I mean, it's unfortunate for Hobnob. We always knew this Siege Baron matchup was going to be a very tough one. We know that because, well, they played earlier in the tournament in the top 8, and Siege Baron took it 2-0. But maybe with a little bit of sideboarding, Hobnob can come back and try and get something on the board for the series.
Yeah. By the way, Killian is telling me I need to give you guys a shout out. All right, chat. Shout out to the community. Like Killian is saying that I should be acknowledging you for this, but all of you did a great job at just being very very helpful if it came to running the tournament. There were no problems from within the community, no toxicity, nothing like that at all. All right, everybody was just participating, playing it nice. We had absolutely zero issues. I think this was probably the smoothest tournament that we have ever had. I've run a lot of tournaments for like Dota shit and such, right? We've like made our own custom game tournaments before, and all of those always had a lot more issues. But today, everything perfect. Wonderful, buttery smooth, and I mean, of course, a lot of that just comes from you guys playing along so nicely. So thank you very much, and thank you for being here, watching with us. Thank you so much for participating. Hope you're enjoying the game. Hope you're looking forward to the release. And well, let's go ahead and see how this game 2 goes. Okay, this is an interesting opening hand here. We've got the Inexoran for board, but nah, yeah, I agree with that. It's just, you can't play this kind of like, you can't play this defensive game, right? All right, Skullifos Hatchling coming out. And I think, you know, you just try to like maintain tempo on the board as much as possible. Forgotten, I feel like you gotta save that. Oh my god, that's a disaster. Oh, that is so bad.
Wow, yeah. Batnash going to deal with that straight away, which is, I mean, there's not much you can deal with or in terms of companion-wise, deal with that kind of 3-3 turn 2. But Batnash is easy to eat that up.
People have been asking for like a guide on how to play this game. If you go on chromacg.com, then you can click on the learn page, and there's like a little tutorial that explains how to play the game. Although we need to update a bit, I've come to the realization that it's not doing the best job at explaining how the mana system works, and that's something we need to update and improve. But other than that, I think it's fairly solid. So anyway, we've got, yeah, just kind of like the Batnash here being a huge threat. It's not that tanky, right? It goes down pretty easily, but it just has such a significant amount of survival of damage that it makes it hard to deal with. So this is
an easy forgotten target right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just get rid of the enchantment, stop the board getting flooded.
Yeah, you need to keep those guys out of here. There's too much you're losing if you just let that happen.
Yeah. And if anyone's wondering why it doesn't stay on because it's an enchantment companion, why doesn't it stay on the story or in the story? Because Void, obviously, same as Exile in other card games, Void removes any death ability. If it had a dusk ability, it would still remove that. Void Void destroys all.
Yeah, Void just kind of yeets it all the way out of here, right? It just gets it all the way out of the game. And also, like, so, well, in, for example, Magic the Gathering, you know, there's still ways to interact with cards in the exile. That's not part on Chroma. There's no interaction with Void stuff. Void stuff is just gone. This little button only exists so you can check what is voided, not so you can interact with it. So that's just something that's important to keep in mind. Ah, another Badnosh, man. Oh, this is hurting.
I mean, these are cards that are auto include. In any Siege Brander, along with the you're gonna have to remind me now the removal spell that discard a card from your hand to play to destroy a target permanent.
So like the thing is like, yeah, you play Badnosh in your Siege Baron decks, right? You always play. You play 3 copies of Badnosh in every Siege Baron deck. But it's still a bit unfortunate to just have to go up against all of them early on, right? Like that's a struggle.
Pine, thank you. Heavy Heart, Heavy Hand. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, Heavy Heart, yeah.
I think that's a great card in Siege Brand deck as well, because you're mainly running the packages, right, that are discard anyway, because they synergize with the hero ability. So having the ability to remove something from the opponent's story, as well as potentially get a Batnash in play, is kind of crazy strong.
All right. So I think I also noticed the Siege Baron does is there's a lot of kind of like just, you know, like Blue Crest Villager, just some card draw, right? A lot of these kind of cycling cards in here that just, you know, they don't do that much, but they replace themselves to like, again, try and maintain like a good hand size and be able to continuously put out stuff. Because like, that's I think one of the big differences between Benedict's deck and a lot of the other decks we have seen in this tournament. Where Benedict isn't trying to do some fancy combo. That's just not what's happening here. He's just playing tempo. That's it.
Yeah, just get companions on the board and let them do their job and do damage. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like the 1/2 tokens, they don't look like much on their own, but you combine it with a card you know they're running, which is Will of the Woods. And all of a sudden they come down and they give 4, potentially 5 value to your story, your side of the story, which is a huge amount of synergy and damage output.
All right, we've got the King's Eye coming down again. Ooh, double. Ooh, that is a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Question is, where is that damage headed, right? Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I think you take those trades, especially what you want to bet there's gonna be a Will of the Woods. This easily enough mana. There it is.
But also, I mean, obviously, Siege Baron cannot see Hobnob's hand, but at the moment, Hobnob doesn't have a companion in hand. So at the moment, there's not much to play next turn. They need to hope they find something. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but Skin of Teeth has to be played on a companion, right?
Yeah.
It can't be played in an empty page.
By the Skin of My Teeth, reduces the maximum health of target allied companion to 1 and then destroy the adjacent companions. But you can use it on the companions created by the primary. So there's kind of like, it's not quite as bad. You can definitely get a little bit of value out of it, just with Magna Architect in general. That's why it's a card that's often played in Magna Architect decks. But there's still a lot on the board.
There really is. I mean, Prey can deal with one of the King's Eyes, but that would eat up. Prey would eat up all of the ambition, which isn't the end of the world.
Yeah,
because there's not much else that they can play anyway that they need with the ambition mana.
So this is gonna be Prey bouncing that guy, Bloom Vagrant. Oh. Not a bad snipe, not a bad snipe. This is, by the way, we're positioning mattered again. Benedict being very aware of the fact that, you know, ideally you want to keep this guy a bit away from the other stuff, because in case something like By the Skin of My Teeth comes out, you kind of like spread it out. This is why Hobnob didn't just go for this over here, even though you ideally want to kill the Will of the Wood, not the tokens. But there was just more damage here. And this... You know, you're kind of wasting one of the slots you're hitting. So, yeah, it can be really difficult.
And the prey play actually procced the Word of Woods again because you're bumping the card back. And then where it brought in the Enchantment Companion, it procs again before it's destroyed. So technically, it did give away 2 more points of damage, but there's not much they could do about that anyway.
Yeah, Will of the Wood is just such a powerful tool for putting this kind of like this damage on the board, right? All right, there's gonna be stolen from the dock. Just eats up one of these companions. Oh, that's another one of those things. So it's making life even more difficult, right? Like even if you want to go for a big bot at the end, now all of your synergies have been voided out of the ashes.
Yeah, I mean they can remove everything over in page 5, 6, and 7 as we're looking at the board by obviously popping a toy golem, playing by Skin of the Teeth in page 6. Would remove the Wheel of Woods as well as the little companion there as well.
Yes,
There's still a 7, 8 out wide, which is paring down some pretty vicious looking stats.
There's going to be another little block bot. Probably clearing out that side of the board, but you know, even if you do that, this hand is just not that great. Like, this is the problem you have if you play, like, Knife Made Wise, or just generally these kind of, like, utility cards. These cards that are really powerful if you have something on the board. If you play too many of those and then you end up with only those in hand, oh, then life becomes difficult because you need something on the board to be using to use them first, you know?
Yep.
Okay, another King's Eye coming out. It just helps you push the damage you need a bit. I guess with a Knife Made Vice that...
You can remove the octopus, can't you, then?
Yeah.
With the Kraken. We're playing that on there as well. Gives you a tiny bit of protection as well on Hero. But as you said, now resources, obviously has primary ability to create toy golems, but actual resources to spend from hand are now very, very limited for Hobnob. Where compared to Benedict, that's sitting quite comfortably at the moment with 6 cards in hand.
Yeah, there's the Blue Crest Villager coming out. It's kind of, you know, again, cycling a bit more. All right, just keeping these resources going. And this is also like one of the big advantages of having these stolens from the dock. You just ditch them with the primary, you discard them with that, and you can kind of continuously use the primary as just like card draw without needing to worry about losing another card. I still see missing card art. Oh yeah. So something we did in the development is we used this artwork, the Blue Crest Villager artwork, as kind of the placeholder for when a card doesn't have artwork.
Ah, okay.
And now every time I see Blue Crest Villager, I'm like, why doesn't that have artwork? Oh, no.
It's meant to be like that.
No, this is the one that's supposed to look like that. Every time. So
I mean, Bolt coming down 1-1, it's not going to offer a huge amount, really.
all right, nice quick little trades here. And yeah, I'm gonna push a little bit more damage. Oh, never mind. But you can't do this. Look, I just disagree with like the play style here, right? I think if you are this far behind, you're never gonna be able to get back control of the board because your deck just doesn't have that kind of card draw.
Yeah.
You need to go for the kill. This is the only thing you can make happen. I mean, I guess you play Monomaniac, so there is a chance, but the chance is just very, very low.
Yeah, no, I agree. The putting the pressure on the face then, like we said before, Big Bot with potentially the right combo can put out 15 plus damage a turn. So if you can get your opponent down to the realms of that, then maybe you have a chance. But
yeah,
like you said, you're never going to control the board. When you've got 1 card in hand, your opponent's got 6 cards in hand, there is almost no chance of you controlling that board.
Yeah, and that's going to be it. Birdsong, Knife Made Vice, they're not going to be able to do anything against this board. And I think, We're just a few seconds away from crowning our first champion here.
Yeah,
Up north.
I think so. I mean, take nothing away from Benedict. They played every game we've seen them play, and they played extremely well. And as you said, they didn't, and this is no disrespect to them at all as a player, they didn't do anything overly complicated with their list. They played companions that put out big stats with Will of the Woods, and they swung at face. And that's sometimes that's all you need to do. If you've got a big complex combo wombo deck, then sometimes all you need to do is just put damage out to your face. And they played very well in every matchup they've done.
This kind of strategy is exactly the kind of stuff that like a Bebu deck doesn't really like, right? Because the Bebu deck wants to do big fancy plays and needs to save its mana, needs to be careful with like strategizing everything out. And then you die because this guy has 11 attack and has another guy that has 9 attack. And next to that is another guy that has 8 attack.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. You don't deal with that Will of the Woods.
There we go.
Gets crazy.
All right then. Well, that crowns our champion. Benedict or Giando. Or Giando. Taking the first tournament here. Being our first champion. And that concludes our tournament here. Bonus round, Barmy versus Benedict. Can I? Bring it.
No, it's very well played. Like, really well played by Benedict, and well deserving.
I'm gonna go beat him up. Come here. Let's go. I'll beat you up. Double or nothing. I don't have that kind of money. Oh no. But yes, that means we have our winner, who is not being updated. Well, that's okay. That's fine. Well, that was fun though. I hope you guys enjoyed the tournament. I know I did. I think it was a lot of fun. And I'm very happy with how everything went. Thank you very much for the gifted subs as well. And thank you so much, Atmo. And yeah, wait. Killian said winner interview. Is that what... Wait. I gotta check. Oh, okay. Giando wants to play. Are we gonna do it? Alright, let's do it. Wait, I gotta pick a deck. What are we playing? Should I play something serious? Do I even have anything serious? I wonder if I have anything serious. I don't know if I have anything that can win against what Benedict has. But we could try... you wanna do Resno Fiasco? Okay. This will not win. But it might. Alright, let's go. We're just gonna do a best of 1 though. I'm not gonna do a best of 3. That's too much work for me. Alright.
This is going to throw a curveball now, and they're not going to be running Siege Baron. They're going to be playing something completely different.
Ah, not serious. Wait, Giando, now you already got us hyped up. Now you gotta play a best of 1 against me. Come on. You can't say you want to do it and then not do it. That's being come on. Give me my 1 game. And now you gotta do it. Not serious match, I mean. Ah, okay. Alright then. Not try hard. Okay. Well, I sent you a challenge then. Well, thank you so much, Woody. Thank you for being here. I think for this next part, I might just handle it on my own because I'm just gonna need to talk shit a bit. But
That's fine.
Thank you very much for being here for the tournament. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And
yeah, it was great. It was nice seeing some competitive Chroma in action. Actually, it was really good. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to stop by.
All right then, and well, I'll see you around then.
Yep, take it easy. Chat, have a good one, and I'll see you all later.
All right, goodbye. All right then. So let me go and shuffle this back because this is nothing. All right, we got rest now. Perfect. It's fine. It is fine. So, what is my deck? Well, my deck is based around this card. Also, we're playing against, yes, Envoy. How is nobody done Envoy? I'm so sad that people didn't play Envoy. All right, I'm gonna play Blossom because I need to draw Fiasco. All right, let me see if I... No, this is not Fiasco. All right, we still have 2 turns to draw Fiasco. That's it. You have 2 turns to draw Fiasco. That's fine. That's great. That's all we need. Get the winner moisture. All right. Did you want Benedict? Come here. Wait, where's Benedict? Okay, I'm gonna join. Do we have a voice chat somewhere? Do we have no voice chats? How do we not have any voice channels in the Chroma Discord? All right. All right, I'm gonna go in here. All right, you guys can come hang out if you want. All right, I need to draw. All I need to draw is Fiasco. It's fine. Don't worry about it. All right, hello. Wow, there's a lot of people here. Okay then. So hello everybody. Wait, I just wanted Gianno. There's Gianno. All right, wait. I was told Killian keeps yelling at me to do a winners interview, so I'm gonna do that while we play. All right. I'll be right back. 1 sec. All right, I'm gonna grab Gianno really quick. Wait, is it not? There we go. All right, hello. We are in one of the secret channels now.
Ah, okay.
Hello. Thank you very much for playing. You did really good. I really liked your deck. I think you did very good with everything. So I'm very happy to see that you won. And you like Stolen from the Dark, it seems. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, very much. Great design, dude. Very happy with that.
Well,
no, I'm gonna be completely overwhelmed with playing and talking, I think. But yeah, you can ask your questions.
Oh well, I just just how did it go? Like how was the tournament? Like playing it, like what decks did you play against? I didn't see your early rounds at all. Did you? So I saw the later rounds, right? And it felt like you were just having such an easy time. Right? Was that the entire tournament or was that just early on? Or was it just late on?
It was the entire tournament. I only played the Siege Baron deck. I had like 7 flex slots where I changed cards from matchup to matchup. And also the sideboard, of course. But I played the one deck the entire time. And
nice.
I think I haven't lost a match from the beginning to end.
Wait, I don't think that's true. I gotta check that really quick. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. 2-0, 2-0. Nope, yep, you did not lose a single game. Let's go. All right. Well, let's change that really quick, if you don't mind. So...
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah, that's...
Do you like my combo?
That's not intended to happen, yes. The funny thing is, I played against Monster Kai before the tournament. He was also one of the players in the tournament. And he did exactly this combo to me too. And I lost 2-0 against him with the deck that I played in the tournament.
Oh.
So I was so happy that I didn't have to play against him the entire time.
Yeah, well, I think this kind of deck that I like, this is like the rest now fiasco nonsense that I was kind of like telling people about leading into the tournament. But I don't think anybody actually like took it serious as a deck. So
I mean, the rest now counters me so hard.
Oh yeah.
Like, and that's just random. That's not. I mean, it's part of your deck, of course, but it also randomly shuts down Siege Baron completely.
Yeah, so Rest Now is a card that's like a big tech card, and we didn't see any of it. I think there just wasn't that much red, right? People didn't play red at all. You were like one of the only decks that relied a lot on having red in it. And like, I mean, even you were mostly using purple for the aggression, right?
Yeah, totally. The Element of the Woods is like one of the craziest cards. I mean, there are many crazy cards in the game, which is good. But yeah, that's such an amazing aggro tool. I had to go for that one, of course.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Is there like any other deck you were considering playing? Like other than just playing, you know, what you brought, but was there like another deck where you were like, maybe I should play this instead? And then you, in the end, decided, no, I'm gonna go with the Siege Baron one, or was it just Siege Baron all the way?
No. As I told you, I lost 2-0. The last best of 3 before the tournament, I lost 2-0 with the Siege Baron deck, and so I thought I would also create like an aggro deck with just Mechn Architect, Pure Phase, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if people only play. I expected everyone to play HEMA combo. I expected nothing else.
Yeah,
Basically.
I'm so glad that didn't happen. I was terrified everything was gonna just be HEMA combo. But
Yeah, and you don't want to see that in the first tournament as a developer, I guess.
but like HEMA combo didn't do that well. It just lost. It's not like
Yeah,
there wasn't any. They just died.
Yeah, you're right. Here's a bug, by the way. I know I'm not allowed to talk about them right here, but
Wait, yeah, of course. Tell me what's the bug?
like I want to play For Hire for Sale now, and I would really like to play it on my avatar permanent. But if I do that, it just bugs out. So
Oh, it doesn't work on the thing created
on
by
my
Stone from the
on the
Dark.
token thing, yeah. I mean, it's a very weird interaction. I can see how this is one that's not very obvious, but
Yeah, these kind of things, like we've reached kind of like the 1% of bugs, right?
Yeah.
We're basically all the bugs that exist in the game now are just very kind of like high level, intricate ones, which are generally a little bit harder to find.
yeah, it's amazing to me that the entire tournament, I believe I haven't encountered a single real gameplay bug, like other than UI stuff, which is a very good sign, I think, for the state of the game. That was amazing to me, actually.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that. Yeah, I was actually really pleased by that as well. Like, something I was worried about at the start of the tournament as well was that, like, we'll go into it and then we'll just, like, kind of run into, like, a lot of gameplay issues because of bugs. And it just wasn't really anything, so
Yeah.
it's good. Good. Do you, like, play other card games? Do you, like, play Magic or Hearthstone?
Yes. I have played Eternal, a huge amount of Eternal. I know it's not that well known, but I played a lot of that, and like a lot of Theria. I like the indie creative card games, which is probably why I'm here right now.
I mean, I'm glad to have you here. I was on board for that. What do I do with your stuff here? I mean,
Yeah, we chose the right decks, I think, because this matchup is so slow that we can like easily talk while we were doing other stuff.
all right, here we go.
Yeah, well, you're not actually killing me, so
Not yet. I'm gonna get to that. Don't
it's
worry
fine
about
so
it.
far.
Don't worry about
Also,
it.
I want to take this moment to thank Kilian. He's also like I think he was sound development in your
Yeah,
game.
yeah, kill him.
He was my emotional support during during the tournament. I think it's really stressful. Like especially when you get to the later rounds and you can really do it now. And so yeah, I was happy to have someone to talk to and keep me calm and stuff. That
Well,
was
that's
very
good.
nice.
So really, Killian is who won the tournament. Is that what you say?
So really, Killian is who won the tournament.
Oh, look at me. There I am again. Okay. So here's kind of like a bit of a selfish question, but we really ran this tournament mostly so I could like see like where do we need to do balance, like what do we still need to improve for the game. Well, is there anything where you think that this is what you think should be prioritized in balance?
Yeah. So look, first of all, I want to say that I think the hero design is amazing, and the mana curve design is very, very good. So that it's like I love this stuff. So I want to also say that
Thank you.
things that could be improved. I mean, before the tournament, I would have said like that HEMA combo stuff is stupid and it's like.
Oh, I agree.
But it didn't seem to be such a big problem. Also, I think the community is way too crazy about the whole interdiction thing. I think interdiction is a meme. The card is not powerful. It's a little bit frustrating, and I get that, but I don't think it would be a problem in the long term on ladder or anything like that. Yeah. So other than that, I mean, like the biggest thing I would say is I've seen other card games die because there was just not enough new stuff and they took way too long to get any expansion going or anything like that. But really, I think the game is great. Just go on with the things you do, more heroes, more cards, more stuff.
I guess
yeah.
I was actually gonna kind of keep the secret, but you know what? it seems like kind of like I can like give you a little bit of like a thing right now. But so we're gonna have an expansion for the game. Like that's probably gonna be like 3 months after release of the game, and I'm already working on it. And when I say I'm already working on it, I mean it's really being worked on. Like it'll be done in time, no problem. But, and this is kind of the secret thing, about 2 weeks after the release of the game, we're gonna drop like a mini expansion where just there's gonna be 10 new cards that are not in the game yet, and we just wanna like immediately like, hey, here's another thing to freshen up the game a little bit. So that's just kind of like gonna be a little thing there.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. But I think that's exactly how you have to do it. Just like keeping it fresh and showing the community that it's worthwhile to invest because the game is going on and there's new stuff coming. And yeah, that sounds very, very good. Yeah.
So that's gonna be that's kind of like the plan there. All right.
I say that and you casually wipe my board.
Yeah,
of course.
Don't worry about it.
No,
All right,
it
let me grab
was
this.
great fun, and I really want to emphasize this: the community is insane. Like if you imagine, they compare this to Dota, where people yell at you in Russian, and like this is so crazy. Like people calling their own losses in the win confirmation.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, I think it's just like a lot of this, like, you know, like, I don't know. I just have this like, what we did here with the community, I think, was from the very beginning, I was like very set on, we are going to be very clear about the rules here, and this is just gonna, like, if you break them, you go. We're not going to tolerate any sort of toxicity. And I think that's like that's actually been working. I think we've got a really nice community here, and like, yeah. Like this tournament was so smooth, wasn't it? Like, I mean, I've done quite a few tournaments in the past, and I'm very happy with like just how buttery smooth everything went today. All right, so I'm gonna make a little bit of a mistake, I think. Should I make that mistakey? I think I will.
Go for it. I just realized that I killed my win condition before, so yeah. Probably not going to be a problem.
That's
I
fine.
had one of the deck, like what's it called, never enough in my decks, and usually I just copy them forever and ever with the scholars attendance, and then game just goes on forever.
Mm.
But yeah, I deleted that one when you still had your other permanent in place. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes.
It's gonna be tough. What can I say? Yeah, but I think I don't want these two things anymore.
No, I need those. Oh no, now I'm not in great shape. Oh, it's fine. I got it. I drew the perfect card.
Nice, perfect.
That's all I needed. Okay.
Well,
by the way, this is my fun meme deck here. I like it. Like all I do here is I just sit here, I rest now fiasco people, and then the entire strategy is to just kind of play some late game stuff when we are both out of cards. But I probably play more late game stuff than you. And if that's not true, then I lose.
Let's see about that. Yes, I mean what I'm doing right now is very late gamey. So.
Oh no, not these. Oh no. Are we looping for hire for sale? But you know something I find really cool is that you've been using these scholars attendants, and that you are, I think, the only person in the entire tournament that played that card. I didn't see it from anybody else. And honestly, it kind of surprises me because it's like, it's a 4-mana 4/6. Like, that alone almost makes it worth playing.
And the effect is crazy. Actually, there was one guy playing it, and he's probably already like, "Hey, dude, I'm here." One of the control decks, I always forget the name. The plant dude, Jebi Gongu.
Duvdan Gugui.
Yeah, thank you. It's not that easy to pronounce. Somebody played a control deck with him, he had the craziest games. I loved his games. Where he went like 80 health, 22 plating every game, and he also had one of those to
yeah, you
get
mean
his deck.
Like, you actually went pretty deep in the tournament. You played today, right? Is that who you're talking about?
I didn't play against him, no. But I watched his games, and I was afraid that I would have to, and I gladly somebody else took care of him.
Yeah, I don't know how well you would have done against that deck, honestly. That deck was a bit problematic. I wonder, what do you have in the sideboard? Is there like anything in your sideboard that maybe could have dealt with it?
Yes, so that's what I said. Like, before, I knew that I either had to play against him or against like the Pinex Ginger, and so I made 2 decks. Watching them, I refined my decks both ways. And against him, I would have gone for like heavy Ashes Steel. There's this Archivist card that can just get his stuff. To kill your thing or not? Wait a second.
No, it's a very nice Cloud Cup. It's just a baby. Leave it alone.
I don't really feel like it, to be honest. Do I need to draw cards? That's the more important question. Actually, this turn is easy.
Chad is telling me that the name is Sava Shaktiman, and I know that that's the name, but that still doesn't mean I know how to pronounce it.
It's true. Yes.
It doesn't really fix the main issue here.
Yes, it was my problem too. No, but he was amazing. I loved seeing him play, and I think you're right. The deck diversity was very good. There was so many, and many people just played funky heroes, and I love that. Yeah, that was really cool. I'm curious who's gonna win here, but I feel very good right now, to be honest.
Why did it just take so much damage?
Good question. Let me look at this again.
Wait, what just happened?
I'm not sure. That might be something.
We might have. Oh man, we just said there's no bugs. We just said there's no bugs. Wait, why did I just?
Oh, yeah, somehow your Maelstrom decided to hit you.
Was that a Maelstrom? No. I think I took one. So I have the Cloud Cup on the Shekmati mark, right? Which reduces damage it takes by 1, and I take it instead. And I think I tagged your 0 attack thing, and then it redirected 1 damage to my hero.
That's curious. Let's call it curious. Yes.
So
I'm gonna make you unhappy here, or at least I hope.
No, don't do it. Don't kill my Cloud Cup.
I enjoy making people unhappy.
Oh, that's fine. I don't mind that too much.
Are you sure?
Oh no! Now you get a 6. Oh man.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, but we get to show off the nice new artwork we got for it. This is like very recent.
Yeah, I was so happy about that. I played this hero before, and then it was just those like milk ladies.
Yeah, just the Blue Crest villages. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like originally when I was making the game, I wasn't gonna give every like token nice artwork, and after a little while I was like, oh, okay, all right. It's just so expensive, it's just But yeah, so like every token now has nice pretty artwork, and this is one that Jeremy made recently, and I think he did a very good job with it. It's got like the same kind of strange mystical energy as the Envoy, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, very much. I think like the sound design, the art design, I'm happy with most things. Like, okay, yes.
Now, what are you not happy with? Tell me. What?
Yeah, exactly. I thought about it right now. UI stuff can be improved. I already like posted stuff about that too. Like, for example, if I go on the act counter, there should at least be a menu option that it tells me you're in Act 3 now, or you're in Act 2.
Yeah, so like little hover tooltips. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Like,
oh yeah, I super agree. Definitely want to do that before release. I want to like. Okay, here's what I was thinking. We do like hover tooltips on the like act counter, on the like little act indicator in the middle. We need one for the void. We need one for the barriers. Probably one for plating and health. And I'm kind of running a little low. Maybe the ultimate needs one. I was kind of thinking maybe we could have like a system where we have like even like kind of like beginner tooltips, which are longer and have more text than just like the normal tooltips. Turn timers. That's a good one. That's a good one for sure.
So that's very good that you're already working on that. Like, and another thing which I struggle with, and I don't know if anybody else has this problem. Maybe I'm weird, but I sometimes struggle to notice which units can still attack. And I noticed that you like also made fun of me on stream for like oh, he did the wrong order there. And most of the time it's like, which can attack? Oh god. Oh yeah, this one can, go for it. And I know that there's a particle effect and stuff, but like maybe just make them jump or something. I don't know. I switched to the dark board now, and now I'm better. Like on the dark board, I can get it done.
Oh no, I gotta take the dark board away from you though.
It might be good for you right now, yes. Your top decks are pretty strong. You were right.
Well, this is my entire deck. My entire deck is based around top decking.
Yeah.
That's the whole strategy. I'm just gonna top deck over and over again. I mean,
if I wouldn't have voided my never enough, I think this would be over already.
Yeah, well, maybe that is the whole strategy.
I kind of screwed up there.
Oh,
But
this
I have
is
card
not good.
advantage, so I must be doing something right.
Yeah, I think you might have it anyway. My deck might not be quite good enough. Damn, I avoided so many stolen from the dock there. I mean, that's pretty important. I want those guys out of here. All right, you go away.
You killed this. I think you killed like 6 stolen off the darks with your second combo. that was quite efficient. Yeah, well, I mean, I can't go on forever, so
Yeah,
maybe.
this guy is actually like turning out to be really nice. I think the Scholar's Attendant just kind of creating a lot of this value.
Yeah,
Do you
crazy
think
value.
that the games were taking too long?
I mean, there's a huge range, right? So some people play decks where they just basically their deck never ends. And there was one stream where the Shakmati dude, whatever, I can't pronounce the name, but he had 6 times 5 words in his hand, which and the card says you cannot be dealt damage.
Yeah.
On the next turn, and he had that card 6 times in his hand. So basically, next 6 turns are just nothing's happening here, and that's of course not great.
It's not the best.
So yeah, I'm not sure actually. I love that there's both the game is over turn 3 and game is over turn 80 games. So me personally, I think it's very good. But yeah, I can see that maybe some toning down on the control side of things would be good. Also, maybe more like the plating card is maybe a little bit too crazy. The 5 plating, 5 damage, 5 drop card that was kind of insane, or it looked insane. So maybe there's some toning down there. But to me, I love crazy controlling matchups. So I don't know. Maybe it's just right the way it is. It's very hard to make good decisions on those things, I think.
I think I just found another bug. We shouldn't have said that there aren't any bugs.
Yeah, it's my fault. I jinxed it.
Yeah, it's how dare you? So now it's just the game's full of bugs here. That's all that's left. Oh, thanks for killing this guy though. It's nice.
Yeah, I wanted. I had my Forgotten in hand, and I was like, yeah, let's get him to 4 health. It's surely gonna work. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
That's okay. You already like used up all of your brain energy for today. I mean, it worked. You got fine. You got gotta win the tournament. That's what matters.
That's true. I was like, the moment after I agreed to this, I was like, dude, you have a headache. It was really tough, actually. I don't know if people notice, but if you're really into it and you really want to, like, you're looking at the other games, you're thinking, okay, what strategy might I use against this? What decks did this guy play? Which sideboarding option would be great? And you do this like 2 days straight. I'm really exhausted, man. It's
no, no, my doggo.
Yeah, if I was thinking more about the game, I would have probably done better here. But looks like I might be fine.
Well,
right?
I think that's it. My doggo is gone. No, I don't have anything anymore. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this guy. I'm gonna play this. And I'm out of cards.
Just for making me sad about not having any Lost in the Darks anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's really like the big thing, you know. I just want to make sure that you feel the crimes that you're committing with Stolen from the Dark.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the community is surely.
No, don't bring it back to my hand. What are you doing? Get it out. I don't want it.
I just wanted to 4-drop you. Like, end your misery a little bit more quickly here. Oh yes, I didn't lose anything. Yes.
Yeah, let's go. All right.
The final boss, Baumi, is defeated.
Oh, man. Even my incredibly powerful Rest Now Fiasco there couldn't win. Now I don't know how could anyone ever win?
Yeah, Lost in the Dark. I seriously think, like, the more cards come out, the more overpowered Stolen from the Dark is gonna get. But I love it, so never change that one. That's okay.
I mean, like,
That one is.
the thing is, like, here's something we can do though, right? Because like our game is like all kind of like made with the idea of just balancing it. Like, sure, Stolen from the Dark might be like fine now, but if I like ever make an expansion full of avatars, right, all of a sudden it's gonna be nutty.
Yeah.
But why don't I, as part of the expansion, just nerf it, right? It's just like, okay, here's the new
of course.
expansion, and Stolen from the Dark now only gives +1/+1.
Yeah, exactly. That was what I was thinking. Like, +1/+1 probably might be okay, but I'm not sure. After the game is out, people will find out
Yeah,
what the meta
yeah.
is. I think before that, you cannot really say that much.
I mean, like,
So, yeah.
yeah, I don't really expect like a perfect balance on release day. I just wanted to make sure it's like good enough, you know? But feeling pretty good.
It's fun.
Well,
Yeah, of
thank
course. And the cards you're making are crazy, and that's very good. The cards have to be crazy. They shouldn't be like tame and not too good. You know what? Like, it's good if everything is overpowered. Everything is overpowered is the perfect state.
Well, thank you very much then. All right then. Thank you very much for participating. Good job winning the tournament. Thank you for joining me right here. But I think for now, I'm going to be calling this because I have 4 hours of video that I need to upload still, and that's going to take a while. So, thank you very much then, and I guess I'll see you around.
Yeah, thanks a
Oh,
lot.
and for the prize pool, reach out to Mickey. All right, this goes to
okay,
everybody.
I will.
Everybody that's still watching that wants some money, go to Mickey. She got the PayPal. She'll send you money. All right, cool. Thank you then.
Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
Goodbye. All right then, we're gonna be calling it at that. Thank you everybody for showing up to the tournament. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you know, wishlist Chroma on Steam. That's what we gotta do, right? Get us those wish lists going. And well, I will be seeing you guys around.